Hello and welcome to episode 10. And right as soon as I go live, I start to stutter. It was perfect, and as soon as I go live, then we have like lag. Isn't that's perfect?
Yeah,
that is perfect.
But there you are, you disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
Harry Houdini over here.
Gosh.
Anyway,
take two. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of season 5 of The Sausage Factory. The Sausage Factory, as you know, is just a bunch of guys sitting around talking about movies. I'm your moderator, Pizzow. With me tonight, I am joined by Rambo Raff. What's going on, Rambo?
Doing well. Always a lot of fun to do these, so thanks for having me once again.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I'm also joined tonight by Cameron. How are you doing, Cameron?
Doing great. Happy to be here at the beginning of the podcast for once. So like stumbling in drunk an hour in.
Or on your phone in the car.
Yeah.
Also with me tonight's Jay the Stingray. How's it going, Stingray?
What's up, guys? Same old, same old.
What are we drinking tonight, Stingray?
This is Great Value Breakfast Blend.
Nice.
Oh, damn.
Now, is that the cups or is that the old school? Where you have
yeah. This is the pods. The Keurig.
Okay. And with me tonight as well as the professor, B-Movie Mike. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good to be here as always.
What are we vaping tonight, Mike?
Let me see. What is it? It is Jam Monster. It's like strawberry jelly on toast.
Wow.
It never ceases to amaze.
You got a little flavor of bread, a little flavor of butter, and then a lot of strawberry. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me the flavors that you get with the vape. You know what I mean? It's like 1 week it's like what is it? Freaking Captain Crunch, and then it's like biscuits and sausage the next week, and now it's strawberry jam and toast. It's crazy. Now, does it actually taste like that?
Yeah, it does actually. You can actually taste a little bit of the bread, a little of the butter, and then the jam. It's really cool. Cigarettes you have like menthol flavored shit and then regular flavored shit. So this is a much better experience.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Chasing it with some mellow yellow.
Mellow yellow, of course. Nice. Everybody rocking some mellow yellow. I'm rocking some Mountain Dew, man, because I need some energy. It's been a long day.
I should be a spokesperson for this company.
5 hour energy.
Without it, I wouldn't survive.
So how have you guys been? It's been a couple of weeks. Have you guys seen any good movies?
Yeah. I kind of talked about them last night. Kong and Logan. Those are the ones I've seen. I'm going to go see Life next week. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it's not shit, but
that looks cool, man.
It looks cool.
I actually read. I did something that I never do before. If it's a movie I want to watch, which is I read a review, because Life is actually a trailer that doesn't give every single plot point in the movie away. So I was kind of like, okay, this looks kind of like, I don't know, some kind of alien type movie. But the review that I read was really good. Basically, they said it's an Alien ripoff, but it's a really high-class Alien ripoff. So,
cool.
It may be better than the new Alien movie, so who knows?
It very well might be. It very well might be.
But people don't rush out thinking it's going to be the Venom prequel movie, because it's not. So.
No.
I'm kind of glad about that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, what trailers did you guys have during Kong?
Oh, fucking Power Rangers, Fast 8.
Oh, really?
I don't know, some just shit that's so stupid it bounced off my brain. I can't
The
remember.
Mummy. The Mummy was one before.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I had Life, Blade Runner, Dunkirk, and Ghost in the Shell.
No, Ghost in the Shell was another one.
I saw Ghost in the Shell was one of them, yeah.
I mentioned I mentioned the Mummy trailer last night on B Movies Mike's podcast. Did you or Rambo see the trailer yet for the Mummy? Because I still don't understand what the hell's going on in that trailer.
Oh yeah, it looks like he's after the Enchantress.
Maybe that's a good thing. I mean, maybe that's a good thing that they're not giving everything away in the trailer. Because I mean,
right.
Does Brandon Fraser play the Mummy? I mean, is this the same franchise we're talking about?
No.
It's a reboot.
Oh,
It's a reboot. This is they're trying to kick off a whole new Universal Monsters cinematic world.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard about those.
And I guess like Russell Crowe is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
And he's in the movie.
Okay.
So
already lost interest.
I'm not sure exactly how Tom Cruise is going to play into it, or if he's going to play into it in future ones. But
Yeah.
Gerard
Yeah.
Butler's going to be the creature from the Black Lagoon.
hey, why not? Why not?
We do have someone in the chat wanting to know. I bring this up because of our discussion before we started recording. They want to know if any of us are going to see the new Amy Schumer comedy with Goldie Hawn.
That's a big
no.
yes. Amy Schumer is the most innovative comic working today. She's dynamic. Her comedy is cutting edge. It's never repetitive.
She's completely original.
And it was those doggone alt-right Trumpsters that conspired to just one star, just knock her special over the head with 1 star ratings. And
I kind of feel like that's just leftovers from the Ghostbusters movie. It's like, if it doesn't look good to you, well, then you're sexist or you're racist or you don't think she's funny, well, then you're alt-right. You're a Trump supporter. That's it.
Maybe it's just shitty.
Yeah, can it be just shitty? Is that okay?
Piz,
Be honest.
I was just gonna say, Amy Schumer just wrote in saying her check will be mailed to you tomorrow.
now that should be about 7 zeros. So,
Well, you guys know she's going to be Barbie, right? In the Barbie movie?
Yeah.
Feature length?
that's true.
Feature
That's
film?
true.
Yeah, it's all gonna be about body issues and stuff like how we
There's-
all have to be the same
there's-
size.
They're still doing a Barbie movie?
Yeah, with Amy Schumer as Barbie.
Barbie's like smoking crack and like
Why?
like day old sushi and shit.
She plays a Barbie that got messed up on the assembly line, and so
White
it's gonna,
trash Barbie?
Yeah, it's gonna,
Rob Zombie Barbie?
I would watch that. I would watch that.
I would watch
That
a
would be
Barbie
funny.
movie. I would watch a Barbie movie with Sherry Moon. Yeah, that'd be a better movie.
Oh,
She's really Amy Schumer's really starting to sound like Randy Quaid though, with all these conspiracy theories, and you know what I mean. It's all a conspiracy against her, and it has nothing. That rating has nothing to do with the fact that her act is. It has been the same exact act for about the past 5 years, and that people may be a little tired of her talking about drinking too much and sleeping around. You know, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So the Star Whackers are after her too, huh?
Exactly. The Star Whackers. Yeah. They got Heath. They got who else was it? I forget. But now they're after Randy and Amy Schumer.
well, they got Tupac.
Well, yeah, they got Tupac. Yeah.
They got Biggie. They got Robin Williams. I mean, there's some theories about that.
David Carradine.
David Carradine. There's another one. Yep.
Well, maybe
Inside Job.
maybe Amy Schumer will do a direct-to-video Christmas Vacation 3.
Let's hope. Let's hope so.
Well, I mean, they also got Peter Weller. May he rest in peace.
Oh,
God rest his soul. God rest his soul. When I will hopefully be meeting Peter Weller in the summer at a convention, and I'm going to be like, I'm sorry that I spread the rumor that you were dead. That was me. It started with me.
Just start screaming, "Praise Jesus, you're alive!"
But yeah, and speaking of the B Movie Mike and Rambo live stream from last night, I jumped on there as well. I invaded to talk about Logan because I've actually done some catching up on movies that I've been missing, like Logan and Kong. And when I heard you guys talking about Logan, I jumped on. And we don't have to go too deep into Logan other than Stingray. Cameron, have you guys seen Logan?
I haven't. I usually wait for Blu-ray to watch X-Men movies.
Okay.
I have not seen it yet.
Well,
Even though I want to.
I think
I liked it.
My thoughts are I liked the movie. It had some issues, but I liked it overall. I thought it was a good closing chapter to the Hugh Jackman Wolverine saga. Even though, as Cole said last night, who also invaded, Wolverine can't die. Wolverine can't die, but he did.
You guys are always welcome to invade.
Well, yeah, I mean, you
Always
just gave it away, but they didn't see this one.
Oops! Spoiler alert.
But I think that was. I almost think that was kind of obvious. I think it was
It's kind of
obvious.
like the Han Solo thing. That's why I called it the Han Solo death. You knew it was going to happen
Yeah.
because
And
the
I
actor
think
willed it.
Yeah, exactly, because I think Hugh Jackman wanted to end it, and yeah.
Are you motherfuckers telling me that Hugh Jackman dies in that movie?
Well, yes.
He does, yes.
Yes.
I'm leaving. I'm out.
But now, like I'd said last night on their live show, that's just the end of the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Wolverine will live on. Don't worry. There will be the Channing Tatum Wolverine in X-Men: Days of Past, Future, Forward, Rewind.
Now, if they want to do a true old man Logan, Glenn Danzig is still alive, damn it. Oh, get his ass. He's got the mutton chops, the muscles, and he's the right height, and he's got the right attitude.
Yep.
I mean, he's a pissy little angry man. He's perfect.
Have you guys seen the trailer for Transformers last night? We have an 8-year-old little feminist girl telling Megatron that she's not scared of him, and he doesn't step on her.
I wanted to puke.
Well, we're talking about Transformers here. I mean, stupidity and Transformers hand in hand. Yeah. Marky Mark's back for part 2 of his saga. Well, that's enough right there to make me not want to go.
Saga.
Well, speaking of Danzig, he recently announced that a new Danzig record will be coming out soon. So, yeah,
he's doing on again, off again Misfits reunions, and he's still doing his old shit. So, yeah, Wolverine, come on, he's still alive. Let's do it.
He can do it, man. He can.
How old is he?
He's in his 50s.
He's got to be in his 50s, yeah. But I mean, he's still, he keeps in good shape, man.
Well, that was another reason why he wanted to be done with this. Is not so much he was tired of playing Wolverine. He was tired of the 8 months it took to get physically fit to play Wolverine.
Well, being the same age as Hugh Jackman, I can completely understand it because you have to, it takes twice as much effort to get the same result when you get older, and it's just a pain in the ass.
Plus, he gets some.
What are you laughing about?
Nothing, man.
I thought he was
off the hook, man.
I thought he was laughing about B-movie Mike trying to get all jacked up like Wolverine.
Oh no, hell no! Oh hell no! No. I don't have that kind of motivation.
I thought he was laughing about twice as much effort for the same result. And
no, I'm sorry.
I know where Stingray's mind goes. So.
Well, they do make a blue pill for that,
There you go.
Although I'm currently pill free still, so I'm good.
Good job. Way to go. But yeah, and I bowed out just before you guys started talking about Kong Skull Island, which I saw that as well. Stingray, Cameron, have you guys seen Skull Island?
Yeah, I did catch that one.
Okay. What you? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
what did you think of it, Stingray?
I loved it, man. I was totally down. I saw you guys kind of say some negative things about it last night, but I really enjoyed it. I had a great time, and that's really all I expected from it. I don't really know how I feel about them ramping this thing up for the Versus movie, but I guess we'll see.
It seems like it's going to be the same thing as Batman v Superman. It's going to be called Godzilla versus King Kong, but they're going to be fighting Mothra, Rodan, and the three-headed thing.
Ghidorah.
I mean, yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. I just wish Tom Hiddleston had more to do, but I really loved the movie.
I wasn't really negative about it. I just had some nitpicks. That's all. I enjoyed it overall.
You forgot one other thing, Piz, is that it's a legendary film. So you have Godzilla, you have King Kong, you have all these other monsters, but they also have something else, which is Pacific Rim. And Pacific Rim is being talked about being brought in to fight the monsters.
That sounds cool to me, man.
That'd be cool.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I like Pacific Rim.
You get Del Toro in there, though. That would be some shit.
Oh, that would be sweet. That'd be sweet. I really liked Kong Skull Island, too. My biggest qualm with that movie was its trailer. I thought the trailer gave away everything. Like every big moment in Kong Skull Island was in the trailer. So
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, so
I didn't watch any trailers for it.
I'm going to have to stop watching trailers. I'm going to have to stop watching trailers because trailers are like the Cliff's Notes version of the movie these days.
Well, I'll go even further. Sometimes the trailer will show you the whole movie, or in the case of Rogue One, it will show you everything that's not in the movie.
And Suicide Squad.
I would rather them show me everything that's not in the movie. But I mean, I avoid reviews of a movie that I want to see. Now I'm going to have to avoid the trailer because I was thinking about the Kong Skull Island trailer gave way too much away. The Alien Covenant trailer I think gave way too much away too.
Yeah,
I
that's
know
all
I
movie.
bitch about it, man, but I had to quit like a few years ago. If it's stuff that I'm interested in, I don't watch anything.
Yeah,
I did this. I agree. I did the same with John Wick 2. I did not see a single trailer until I saw it in the movie.
well,
And it was much better that way.
and when you go to the movies, like before Kong Skull Island, I sit through, I swear to God, 30 minutes of trailers.
Yeah, you feel like you've watched the movie already.
I know I'm going to have to like put blinders on and like plug my ears for 30 minutes so I don't see these trailers because they're giving away everything. Like literally, there was like that Power Rangers trailer, and I was like, saw Power Rangers, don't need to go watch the movie. The trailer told me everything.
Or Piz, you could be like my wife and just show up 30 minutes late to every movie.
Yeah, the Ghost in the Shell trailer basically told you everything. You know, what's the point? Like, look at the '79 trailer for Alien. That today wouldn't even be considered a teaser. You know what I mean? That was a trailer.
But there are some trailers in the 70s and 80s. If you watch them now, they don't just like show you the whole movie; they show you whole scenes.
They do.
Like, yeah. So I mean,
That's true. Yeah.
trailers have always sucked in some way. But,
The Black Christmas trailer literally shows you like every kill in the movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Black Christmas trailer shows you like every kill in the movie.
And then the Black Christmas remake showed you all the kills that weren't in the movie.
Exactly. They got cut out. Yeah, they got cut out. Exactly.
Or kills that were shot just for the trailer, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I mean,
those Weinsteins.
but yeah, I thought Kong Skull Island was a fun movie with it was a comic book movie. It's like, let's have fun, not be boring as fuck like Godzilla.
But across the board, you guys all didn't like Godzilla because I really hated Godzilla.
I'm fine with Godzilla. I liked Godzilla. It. I thought Skull Island was a lot better.
Big time.
But I liked Godzilla.
Okay.
There were things about Godzilla I didn't like killing off Bryan Cranston and making his son the main character, who was a boring, just every whatever. Yeah, and then there wasn't enough Godzilla. And Godzilla was in shadow too much, and there wasn't enough action. But overall, I still enjoyed it, and
When Godzilla was on, it was awesome. But there were too many times it was like, oh, we're gonna see something. No, we cut away, and or there's gonna be a big fight. No, we see it on TV in the background. There was too much of that for me.
And I wanted him to fight an iconic, monster. Who's the Mutos? Who gives a shit? That was kind of like that was kind of like whatever. But
did you say Menudos?
No, the Mutos. Oh. That's what they're called. I didn't name them.
I thought he was fighting Ricky Martin.
That would be awesome.
That's how lame they were. They sound like Menudo. Whatever.
Mutos to putos.
Yeah, and I thought,
right.
one thing I can say about Kong Skull Island is that they gave Kong a personality. He felt like a character in the movie. Godzilla just felt like nothing. You know what I mean? So I'll at least give them that. They made Kong a character in the movie. They gave him kind of a personality.
Yeah, you could see him get frustrated and angry and just just like want everybody to go. It was great. Yeah.
And then, I love the And then in Godzilla, they had the husband and wife in that movie play brother and sister in Avengers too, and I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah, that was odd. Yeah, that was odd.
Well, as far as Godzilla goes, man, I thought it was okay when I saw it in the theater, and I really don't like it as much when I see it at home.
I'm afraid to go for a second watch. I haven't watched it again yet.
It's really dark. I don't know if you guys have experienced the same thing. The transfer is like really dark for some reason. It's hard to see. Yeah.
Right.
I'm a pretty big stickler for like quality and shit, so I'm like, I don't really know what's going on with that. But no, Kong, I had a lot of fun with the human characters. I liked a lot of those as well.
Yeah,
like John C. Reilly. Yeah, I think he stole the show.
He stole that movie. He stole that.
He's so great.
It sounds like birds. They're fucking ants. That's my favorite line of the movie. That just killed me right there. Because like I said last night, Sam Jackson's in the movie. You expect him to get the one cuss word, the one fuck that you're allowed in a PG-13. You go, Sam, but he's going to get it. You just know he's going to get it. He's going to face off with Kong, and he's going to say, come and get me, motherfucker. He's going to say, no, they give it the right. I thought that was amazing. That was great. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. I love the ending with Riley, too. Like, with the hot dog and the beer, watching a Cubs game.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And it was cool how violent it was. I mean, you have a nod to Cannibal Holocaust with the spider.
Yep.
Which the director confirmed, by the way.
Okay.
The British critic Mark Kermode brings that up in his review, and when they interview the director, he brings it up, and the director says, "I'm glad someone noticed it."
Cool.
Who would have thought a Cannibal Holocaust homage in Kong Skull Island? Man?
And as far as new directors, that guy hadn't really done anything but some TV movies and some TV shows. And with what he's done with Kong, I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to do next. I mean, he did a great job on that movie.
Yeah.
Jordan Vaught Roberts. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but yeah, I listened to a bunch of interviews and stuff before the film came out, and he's like a true fanboy. So it is really nice to see somebody with passion for a project for a change. So
yeah, definitely.
Somebody that understands the source material and why it's popular. That's great.
Yeah, I thought that many times while watching it. I was like, wow, this is a really well put together movie, and like this director's not done anything. How did he get this gig? But he deserved it because he did a great job. So
well, I haven't seen it, but it sounds like to me, a lot of directors will get a movie like that and say, well, I don't really want to make it, but I'll do this, get my foot in Hollywood, and then I'll go on to better projects. And there's some directors who take material like this and say, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this the best movie I can make. And that's what it sounds like, that he went in and committed to the project rather than just saying, well, I could just kind of make this movie and then make another movie later. It sounds like, I mean, we complained that Godzilla in the last one, they didn't show him enough. And then I heard with this one, they get right to Kong, like right away. Like there's not even like a real build up to it. It's like all of a sudden Kong's there.
He's in the opening sequence.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Look,
But I'm just glad he wasn't one of these directors that had a vision. Because, you get those guys that are a little too artistic, and they make I have a vision, and then they forget the source material, and they kind of go off in the left field somewhere with their vision, and I'm glad he wasn't one of those guys.
Yeah, I agree.
I think making King Kong in the style of, at least in the trailers and the poster campaign, the Apocalypse Now, that's pretty visionary. I think.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
70s. That was a cool touch.
Yeah,
it was great.
That is one complaint I did have about it, was the music. I thought they really it's like, man, another 70s tracks about to come on.
Well, it was like a Nam thing, so it kind of was like a throwback to Full Metal Jacket type thing, so it kind of fit for me.
Yeah. It was like 20 songs, though. I mean, it was a bit much.
Aren't you going to get the soundtrack?
Fuck it. I could turn the radio on right now and be playing that shit. Not that it's bad music at all, but,
Right.
Got some Sabbath on a helicopter as you're shooting machine guns at a fucking giant ape. It's like, that's like eating steak with a boner. You know what I mean?
That's usually how I eat steak.
There's no other way.
Any other way,
You don't need a fork. Just
That'd be a good band name there, Mike. Eating steak with a boner. Coming up next.
Boner steak.
It's got top 40 written all over it right there.
That does, yeah. Very accessible. Very accessible.
Yeah.
But Cole's joined us. How you doing, Cole?
I'm a bit beat up tonight, but I'm all right. Took some.
So, do you eat steaks with boners?
I try.
Does eating steak give you a boner?
Yeah,
No,
don't eat steak with boners.
I just imagine, Cole getting on, and the first thing he hears is eating steak with a boner. So,
That's pretty much
time
the
to
first thing I had. But yeah. I don't usually eat steak alone. I usually eat.
Next week's podcast. We'll all be sitting here shirtless eating steak, right?
Somebody requested on last week's show.
I know Raiho would love that. He'd have to come back to that.
We do a teen sex comedy show.
Yeah.
Our favorite
That's a great idea.
That is a good idea.
And there's a lot of people in the chat now that Cole's here asking to see some nipple.
Yes.
Still?
Really?
Well, it's been a
You'll
few
never
years.
say
They
that.
want to know if I still I get it.
The problem is if Cole does that, we're crossing international state lines. It could get testy with the FCC. So please
Look at me.
don't.
Have I aged? I haven't aged at all since this show started.
Will be restricted. This video will be like age flagged.
Yeah,
It'll
be on that new YouTube restrictive list that they have
Exactly.
going around. So.
Yep, exactly. Yep, it'll be us in the LGBTQ plus community. Those are all the videos restricted across YouTube, UBT, and Sausage Factory.
And Lionsgate videos. So.
Lionsgate videos, yes.
Yes.
I heard.
Oh, which, by the way, I have to just say before we move on, I had no idea the new Power Rangers movie was completely sponsored by Krispy Kreme. Apparently, there's 25 references to Krispy Kreme in the movie. They eat Krispy Kreme in the movie. And now if you go to Krispy Kreme, you can get 5 different donuts and the colors of the Power Rangers.
Nice.
I would do that if there was any around here.
So
if when I think physical fitness and martial arts, I think Krispy Kreme.
But what I'm saying is maybe we could get Krispy Kreme to sponsor the Sausage Factory. I mean, I'll gladly eat a donut on camera, you know, if they throw in some money.
I'd rather go with Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, I'll eat donuts the entire show. I don't care. Give me some coffee, some donuts.
I really like Krispy Kreme.
I haven't eaten dinner yet. You guys are steaks and donuts.
Hey, if they forked over even $100 to each one of us for every episode, I mean, shit, we could do the Sausage Factory every morning.
That's true. We definitely could.
We could all quit our jobs and just do this full time. How great would that be?
We could do 2 shows a day. We could have the main show, and then like the Talking Dead, we can have like the Talking Sausage.
Exactly.
Yeah, 2 shows a day. It'd be great.
Yeah. I don't think Cole wants to be on the Talking Sausage. Not with his fans in here asking for nipple and other body parts being shown.
Well, like Pizza said, we're being thrown into the LGBTQ plus community anyway, right?
Mm.
Well, we're being banned.
It's just nice. It's just nice to be asked. So it's all very flattering.
They're not banned. Let me clear the air. If you turn on YouTube's restricted mode,
yes, it
blocks out LGBTQ videos from LGBTQ YouTubers.
Right.
Wow, that's really awful.
What does the Q stand for?
Queer.
Questionable. I'm not up on these things. I don't know. Not to be insulting.
It sounds for queer.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What does the G stand for then?
Gay. I honestly don't know the difference, but apparently
I'm sorry, I thought that was
queer is just it's just like so they cover everything.
It's like lesbian, bi, gay, and trans.
They're just like, I don't identify as this, but I know I'm not straight.
But there's also a plus now too. It's LGBTQ plus. There's like
they added the plus.
It's becoming a very large acronym. Very large.
Very much so.
LGBTQ. Okay, I had the Q on there.
LMNOP, QRS.
But isn't the point of an acronym to be easy to remember?
Well, actually, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It's a very big deal that people are actively every day trying to do something about that REMA rap. That's something that's debated daily. People are like, we need something that's easier to say and catchier.
Okay.
So that's actually an ongoing thing. Within the movement.
I mean,
I'm all for it. I just don't like how they stole rainbows from us.
They could just call it miscellaneous, and then everybody.
That covers it. Miscellaneous. There you go.
And I know they didn't steal rainbows. I'm just saying rainbows are for everyone, but now rainbow is really considered their thing. So now anybody that likes rainbows or anything to root, you're automatically like associated with that, which I guess isn't the worst thing in the world, but I like rainbows. You know,
I like reading rainbow.
You should change your name, Rainbow Ralph. You know?
No. Reading rainbow was a good.
Oh shit!
But you don't have to take my word for it.
All right, let's move on.
Say queer, an umbrella term for sexual and gender minorities that are not heterosexual or gender binary. That is sort of. I just looked up queer to see exactly how they.
Going into things I don't understand.
Yeah, it's just basically they tagged it on, so they're covering all their bases.
All right.
So
let's
say, hey, wait a minute, you're leaving me out. So they can say, well, this includes you because you're ambiguous and strange, and we don't know what to call you.
What about like pedophiles? Like, does there need to be a P on the end of there?
Let's just get back to.
That makes people
binary. Isn't that has to do with computers? So yeah, I guess I'm non-binary. I don't know.
Maybe we should just get back to steak and Krispy Kreme.
I think so.
Yeah.
You got a donut one head, stick the other one, a raging boner. There you go.
Boners and Krispy Kreme. Next on the Sausage Factory.
Oh shit! I think we took a wrong turn in Albuquerque.
I think we did.
Sorry, I think that's my fault. Sorry, guys.
No, it started. We're talking about Power Rangers. So apparently that's where Power Rangers lead to.
That starts this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Tonight?
Yeah, I guess.
Are you got your tickets, Jay?
I'd watch it. I'm not going to pay to watch it.
Yeah, I'd watch it. I'm not going to pay to watch it.
Oh,
I'm
Tor.
a little curious about it, but like I mean,
Please-
I grew up
please
with the show, but even when I was young, I didn't like it. I was like, even this is too stupid, even for my 10-year-old brain.
Please send in your money so we can send Colt and Jay to see Power Rangers for us.
No, I want to see B movie Mike at the Power Rangers. Is what I want to see.
No, that's not going to happen.
See, I would if I had known him in the '90s, I would have paid him money to go see Spice World and give us a review.
Oh God.
Well, I did have a girlfriend at the time, and yes, I have seen Spice World, and oh my god.
I've never seen that one. I couldn't even do that for the '90s nostalgia. I don't think so.
Okay, Mike, which is better, Spice World or Cool as Ice?
Cool as ice.
A turd is a turd. They're equal. You know, which one smells worse? I don't know. They both smell like shit.
Well, one has vanilla ice, so that's going to be worse. So.
I have to think that's worse because, like, at least Spice World was at least not taking itself seriously. Like, I've seen Cool as Ice, and it takes itself totally seriously. It's like this is like a real story about a really cool guy, and they're not winking at you, you know.
And it has vanilla ice. Fuck vanilla ice. But I would hate vanilla ice.
At least with Spice World, you could watch it on mute. You know, I mean, Posh and Baby were kind of cute back then. So,
well, it was some kind of a terrible ripoff of a Beatles movie.
Yeah, Hard
type
Day's
thing.
Night.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well,
And the scary thing, it was directed by, I can't remember his name, but his only credits before was directing most of Faulty Towers. And so I thought there was actually going to be like hope for that movie. And then no, it's not.
but yeah, I'm pretty sure when they said like it was going to be sort of like an homage to like a Hard Day's Night or something like that, like any surviving Beatles at that point were just like throwing their guts up.
I think I need to go rewatch Cool as Ice. It's been too long. I just remember the Iceman, just carrying that movie,
Oh my god.
Was that before or after Ninja Turtles 2?
I was after it.
That was after.
Okay.
Yeah.
His star was at its apex, I guess.
Yeah, not long after, I don't think.
No, I think it was 91.
That's why
In
I
fact, it
want
might be the most like 1991 movie you've ever seen.
Look, let me tell you, man. I knew every single word to Ice Ice Baby. Every
Yeah,
single word.
Sing it. Sing
Me
it.
and all the other white boys would be out there rapping.
Sing it, Jay. Get us a
I think
cover.
Hell no.
I think Ryle still knows most of the words. I just saw it.
That was
Oh man.
that was a huge hit when I was in like 5th grade, and everybody was talking about Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, I remember it
It was
too.
that, Sir Mix-a-Lot, Crisscross.
MC Hammer.
MC Hammer in those pants.
Yeah. I made the mistake on Taco Day of trying to dress like Crisscross with my pants on backwards. And,
Got messy?
I'm joking, but did you know that the one Crisscross kid died?
Yeah,
Drugs?
No.
Was it drugs?
Drugs. Yeah.
definitely.
That's too bad.
See, I wish I could have gotten my hair to be like Kid and Play, back in
One
the
half.
house party movies.
One half of Milli Vanilli's dead too.
Oh man.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's dive into the topic at hand here.
Mad respect.
Wait, are you talking about the guy from Milli Vanilli died, or did his voice die?
He killed himself, I think.
Not the voice.
Yeah.
Not the voice.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's one thing
Robin.
to like, realize your life is like a fraud and a joke, but it's another to like kill yourself over it. It's it's not funny
There are
anymore.
many-
It's
there are
quite
many
awful.
there are many YouTubers that share that same sentiment.
The actual guys
Oh,
were
man.
like in their 50s and completely bald, I think.
Yeah, they're like his old R&B group.
Just so
they
you
were like,
know,
they were like the human equivalent of the California Raisins. No, I'm not kidding. I think they were like the voices of that too. I think so.
I think Orc is in the chat right now trying to sell drugs to our
Orc stirring
watching the
shit
show.
up in there is what he's doing. He's stirring the pot.
Or leave our younger, impressionable viewers alone.
Orc has turned into a huge troll in the chat lately.
This is him going stir crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
he's become a drug dealer.
Well, let's go ahead and talk.
Pharmaceutical rep.
let's go ahead and dive into our topic here tonight. Let's talk about some true crime movies. And does anybody want to give a definition of what a true crime movie is to everybody out there who may not be up on true crime movies?
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about movies, and the whole thing is like how much of it is true in realism, because there's plenty of movies out there that are considered true crime that are highly, highly fictionalized, and then you've got on the other end where you've got true crime where they're really doing as much as they can to keep it grounded in the actual story. So I mean, it's vague in that it's anything sort of based on real life crime, but it could totally go off the rails and not really be true to what actually happened or not. And then you have on the other end, you have the ones where they're really trying to make it as close to reality as possible. And then there's, of course, the stuff in between where it's mostly right, but, you know, there's creative liberties taken and stuff. But it has to have its basis in some sort of real life crime that actually happened. And, I mean, the line goes, because, you know, it's not like saying, like, Silence of the Lambs is not in any way true crime, but it is true that, you know, he was based on several real-life serial killers, so I don't know. So that's where it gets tricky with some of this stuff. Same thing with like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's a long time people thought that was like true crime, and it's not. It was just somewhat influenced by some true crime.
It's because they lied to us, and same thing with Fargo. I mean, they lied to everyone. They said this is a true story. It's not. You know.
Yeah, it helps. It helps sell tickets, though.
Well, they usually use that little "based on a true story," which means it's complete bullshit.
But
something really happened.
Something happened, but we made everything up. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, as we do this, we'll talk about films that are sort of on both ends of the spectrum there. And I'll just say personally, like, obviously I'd be really into true crime because it's just something I really like anyway. And I have all sorts of books on it. And I'm kind of obsessed with dark, weird stuff and serial killers and stuff like that. Like, maybe I just haven't seen enough movies, but honestly, like, true crime might be the most, like, personally disappointing genre of film for me when I look at the ones I think are really good, and then I look at all the ones that I thought should have been good and aren't at all and stuff. Like, I mean, there's definitely some I still like, but a lot of my favorites I found in, like, looking up stuff for the show was, like, most of my favorite true crime ones are the ones that are actually quite highly fictionalized. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm much more of a book true crime. I like nonfiction. That's my
favorite.
That
works a lot better.
There was a book called Hunting Humans that I really, really liked. It was a study of serial killers throughout the years. That's like real, true, documented stuff. But then you have like the docudrama. Like the movie I talk about all the time is Helter Skelter from '76 with Stephen Railsback. They have like a narrator, so it's almost has a documentary feel to it. Mm-hmm. But yet there's dramatic, where they act out the parts, and that was really popular style in the '70s. You have the docudrama,
right?
Which I think there was a couple other, like, did The Town, The Dreaded Sundown, did they have a narrator? Yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So that was another style of film like that.
Yeah, all of Charles B. Pierce's movies had that same kind of style, that narration, faux documentary kind of approach,
So kind of when I think of true crime, I think of that. That's what comes to mind when I think of those type of films.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Mike, why don't you go ahead and get us started off? What are some of your favorite true crime movies and why?
Well, I mentioned Helter Skelter. I saw that when I was very young. It came out in '76. Scared the hell out of me. Of course, I grew up in the aftermath of Manson, and that was all over the news. And that was just, I thought Railsback for me, forever when I saw him in a movie after that, there's Charles Manson. I mean, he did a great job of portraying how crazy that guy was. And probably, he's dead now, isn't he? He just died recently.
Did he finally die?
Yeah, I think so.
Manson?
I think he did.
No.
I think I'd heard that he was really sick, but
right.
That's the last I heard.
Still hanging on. I'm pretty sure I would have heard if he actually died.
Yeah, true evil isn't extinguished easily.
Yeah.
So there was that one, and Town is Set at Dreaded Sundown. I guess Goodfellas is supposed to be a true crime.
Yeah,
film.
I would certainly count that.
That's probably my favorite. It's my favorite gangster film, and so I would probably have to count that as my favorite true crime film. I didn't see Bernie Madoff movie with Jack Black, but Bonnie and Clyde from +67. Mm-hmm. That's another one that I really liked.
My favorite.
Yep, I totally forgot about that one.
It's right up there with Helter Skelter. But then the rest of them, it's like, how do you know, like Zodiac, how real is that? How close is that?
That's pretty real.
Wolf Creek.
Yeah, not that one, not so much, probably.
Yeah.
Then there's the movie from 2009, Cropsey, which is supposedly the legend that both Madman and The Burning were based on.
Right.
That's actually a really good documentary, though.
I really like that
Yeah,
one.
I like the documentary.
There's also a companion documentary on Netflix now called Killing Legends.
Yeah.
And it gets into Town of Dread Sundown and other things like that. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah. The Town of Dread Sundown segment of that is really interesting because it's kind of like they go to the Texarkana and they're interviewing the mayor, and the mayor is like loving the fact that they were there in that remake, and he's loving the fact that, like every year they do a screening in the middle of town, and I mean you can just, because it's, and there's still family members of people who died from the Phantom Killer there, but they're promoting it like, come to our town, this is where these people got killed and blah blah blah. And it was almost creepy because he's like Mr. Burns behind his desk like, yes,
but I gotta tell you, after seeing that documentary, I almost want to go to one of those screenings because they have it in the park where the guy killed the people.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's weird.
It seemed fascinating. So
go ahead, Mike.
Monster.
Oh yeah,
Eileen Wuornos. I thought that was pretty good. Charlize Theron really kind of showed her acting muscle in that one, because when you can strip away what you think makes her popular, or makes her good, and then she really shows you that she is a great actress. That was a great moment for her in a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the documentary about her that
Nick Broomfield
did is pretty good too.
Life and Death of a Serial Killer. Yeah, it's a good one.
I think he did 2 of them about her.
Did he?
Yeah. One is like her last interview and stuff like that.
And I think was Blow with Johnny Depp. I think that was like a true crime film.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't want to steal too many because
I forget a lot of it.
there's not really many that I know of, so I don't want to take too many from your list. So I'll go ahead and stop there and let you guys go.
I've already erased 5 of mine.
See, it's not a very deep pool, so.
Well, I mean, we can definitely. I mean, if you want to add something to it when it comes around to your turn, if somebody's taken one of your picks, feel free to add to it. Your own thoughts, etc., what have you.
Cool.
Okay. We'll move on, and Mike, if there's any on your list that we don't touch on, we'll come back around.
Sounds good.
Stingray, what about you? What kind of true crime films have you got on your list for us?
Let's see. Well, of course, Goodfellas is my number one. But, I think we all, what can you say about that movie that hasn't already been said?
Yeah.
But I think Wolf of Wall Street is a really good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of recent years. I think Leo should have got the Oscar for that.
I agree.
No, I agree.
But, Monster was on my list also. Pain and Gain. I don't know if you guys like that movie very much at all.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
did.
Yeah, I did.
It's an enjoyable movie, but I have a hard time liking it. I think it's exploitive and.
Well, I think
I think it's in
it
very
proves
poor
that.
taste.
Yeah, it is in poor taste for sure, but it proves that Michael Bay can make a good movie.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the Benghazi movie. I forget what it was called.
Just real quick, I just want to say, Cole, I agree it is in poor taste, but you have to also recognize that Michael Bay chose to tell the story from their point of view, and their point of view is skewed. So
I know, but I mean that's lost on a lot of people, and it still has to be hard for people that were affected by it. Like the guy, it's true in real life that guy was an asshole, but you don't deserve to have that happen to you. And then you get a whole movie where you get theaters full of people laughing at you what you went through, like it's a big joke. I think that's pretty tough.
I don't think it would have played otherwise, though. It wouldn't have worked.
I know. I'm just saying, when you take it to, and there's there's movies that have been in worse taste than that. I'm just saying, when you, like you said, if you strip that away, it's not even much of a movie. I don't know. I get sort of a kick out of it because it's like, these guys are idiots and they can't pull off anything right. But still,
I mean, just a great cast, man. Like Wahlberg, Johnson, Anthony Mackie, Tony Shalhoub, Ed Harris, Rob Corddry. I love all those guys. But I really like the part when The Rock gets back into drugs. And he just loses his mind for half the movie. I love that shit because I love The Rock. Anyway.
It's true that even outside the true crime aspect, it does shine kind of a fun light on that sort of bodybuilding culture and stuff. And I appreciate the movie for that because it's sort of making fun of those really intense guys and stuff, and that's their life and the lengths they go to and stuff. I mean, I praise the movie for that for sure.
What else have you got, Stingray?
Let's see. I've got the Snowtown Murders. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
I've been trying to tell everybody about it. It's Australian.
Mm-hmm. It's like the grittiest Australian movie I've ever seen.
And it's based on a true story of this young kid that just basically kills a lot of folks. But it's a really good flick.
What's crazy about it is like it's like in documented history, it's like the case of like the most people being aware of serial killer being active and doing nothing about it. Like there was a couple guys doing it, and they knew, and everybody they knew they were doing it. They knew tons of people, their families, their friends, their whole circle knew that they were killing people. And it went on for a long time. But yeah, I have to give credit to the casting of that movie and stuff. It's like, I don't know where they found these people, but they're like, yeah, the Australian equivalent of like white trash and stuff like that. And it's very gritty and real and played out and stuff. Some people call the movie boring, but I mean, I like it for that because it's one of the movies that doesn't actually stray too far from reality. I mean, obviously does in a few spots, but I think it's a good movie for sure. From that perspective,
it was on Netflix for a while. It was in my Netflix list for quite a while. I just never got around to watching it.
I would say it's worth a watch. But yeah, like it was pretty clear. Like one of the main guy, he was just pretty much deranged and like killing people. But he did it at first under the guise saying that he was hunting down pedophiles and killing them, and it was all very thin. They were accusing people that had never done anything and be like, "Oh, we heard you're a pedophile," and then like torture them and kill them and stuff. And then they brag and say, "Oh yeah, we killed that dirty pedophile," and all this. And their friends would be like, "Oh, good job, I guess." Like their friends. Their friends weren't even, like, it's weird. Their friends weren't enthusiastic about it, but they weren't horrified either. They were just so apathetic about the whole thing. It's like, oh, so you've been killing people. Well, that's good, So it's just amazing to think they killed as many people and went on as long as they did because a ton of people knew.
Wow, sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Goodfellas, and I apologize if this is on anybody's list, but what about Casino?
Oh yeah.
Are you guys
my feelings of that movie are well documented, so you guys
are the rest of you guys aside from Cole fans of Casino?
Yeah, I like.
I love Casino. The big difference between Goodfellas and Casino though is Goodfellas is about very specific people, and Casino, believe it or not, is like Robert De Niro's character and Joe Pesci's character is like a combination of several people into one. So Casino isn't quite as true as Goodfellas is, but I mean, that stuff did happen. It just didn't all happen with those same three characters, the Sharon Stone, Joe Pesci, De Niro characters.
Is Casino the one where Pesci has to go back to his mom's house before they go out to the desert and bury that dude in the desert?
No, that's Goodfellas.
Is that Goodfellas? Okay. Never mind then. I like that scene though.
Pesci dies like a horrible death.
Yeah, they beat him to death with baseball bats and bury him alive. Yeah.
Oh, that's the Shine Box dude, isn't it?
No, that's in Casino, or that's in Goodfellas. The Shine Box guys in Goodfellas.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought we were talking about.
Casino definitely teaches like some harsh life lessons, and that's kind of one of them because you just have like his character is like kind of similar to his Goodfellas character, and he's just totally abrasive and just mistreats everybody around him and stuff like that. It's like kind of like what goes around comes around thing happens in Casino, and he gets it really bad. But I don't think most audiences are even that shocked by that point. I think at least me, I was just like, oh, okay.
Well,
like, it should be like a scene of shocking violence and stuff like that, but considering what we've already seen, it's just sort of like, oh, well, I guess we figured this would probably happen to him. At least how I reacted to it.
The baseball bat scene is hard to watch, but so's the vice scene in Casino. They put the guy's head in the vice.
Right.
But what's interesting is that in Raging Bull, Joe Pesci beats up the actor Frank Vincent in a scene, and then in Goodfellas, Joe Pesci beats up Frank Vincent, and then in Casino, Frank Vincent's the one that kills Joe Pesci with the bat. So,
I liked Casino, but it reminded me of a better film, and that was Goodfellas. Because you got De Niro, you got Pesci, and like you said, you see him playing basically the same characters, but in a film that's kind of inferior. But I still liked it. But after you watch Goodfellas, Casino to me doesn't match up. It doesn't live up to it.
And again, a big part of it for me has less to do with the movie itself. I because you don't like Sharon Stone, and she's very important in the movie and stuff.
Like
and I've liked Sharon Stone in like 1, maybe 2 movies ever. So,
And that was before Basic Instinct.
I've always liked Casino. I used to have it on the two disc or two cassette VHS.
That's how I first saw it.
Yeah,
Had to switch tapes.
Yeah,
it came out the same time as Heat, and that was another double cassette.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I've always really liked Casino. It's not up there with Goodfellas to me, but I think it's pretty close. I like it a lot.
It's a great film.
So, yeah,
I'm not saying it's bad. It just personally irks me in a lot of ways. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to make an argument that like it's badly made or anything like that, because it's a well-made film.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on, and if there's any left on your list, Stingray, we'll excuse me, we'll come back to you. What do you got on your list, Rambo?
Well, I mean, when I saw the subject, I knew this would be a tough one for me because it was a very short list. But you guys have mentioned a lot of stuff I enjoy. I like Goodfellas. I like Casino, Pain and Gain, Wolf of Wall Street. I think I'm not sure if this is one, but At Close Range.
Yep.
With Sean Penn.
It is.
Christopher Walken.
It is, yeah.
I enjoy that movie. I thought it was well acted, and I even like the music. I even don't mind the song by Madonna. Yeah. But I liked it better when it's part of the score. I thought it was a good story. I don't know how true it is, but
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how true that the movie is, but there really was. The son did testify against the father. The father was like a kind of backwoods, kingpin, and he actually died in prison. I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I watched that movie again maybe a few months ago. I've seen it tons of times, but it's just so like gut wrenching, man. The ending of that movie.
Yeah,
such a good movie. Such a good movie. That movie needs like and that is an MGM movie, I do believe. Yeah. Shout Factory needs to make like a collector's edition Blu-ray for that.
Yeah, because I have a double feature disc of that in colors, and they just released colors, so I need to get At Close Range now on Blu-ray so I can get rid of the other disc.
My only problem with That Close Range is I thought it was a good movie, but the Madonna music video that was tied into it that played on MTV like 24/7 every 5 minutes.
Well, made
me not want to watch it.
I don't even know the song.
What was the song?
It was oh my goodness. Was it Live to Tell?
Live to Tell, yes.
I don't remember that one.
I don't fucking like Madonna at all, so I don't
exactly.
Know.
I mean, I might remember it if I heard it.
I actually really enjoy I do enjoy the song, especially how the score version of it plays.
Yeah,
I can hear it in my head, but I would do a shitty job humming it. So I'm not going to.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you.
But yeah, that's a film no one ever mentions. But that's a good one.
Yeah.
And is Henry Portrait a serial killer?
Yep.
True.
Yeah, it's based on Henry Lee Lucas.
Oh yeah.
I just wasn't sure if it was more fictional or more true.
I think it's very loosely based.
Yeah, like I said, I still think it would qualify.
It does.
It came up on my list when I was looking on Flickchart and stuff. So yeah, that's
just
really good.
One of the creepiest guys ever, Michael Rooker, in that movie. Just really intense. And then I saw Cliffhanger, and I'm like, oh, cool! I actually liked him. Like he's not a serial killer in real life.
And then he showed up in Mallrats.
Yeah. Whenever I see, there's something about Michael Rooker. There's something about Michael Rooker that's just like, I don't know, like you. I don't know. Even if I hadn't seen Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, I'd be like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah, I know he's Michael Rooker for sure.
But in interviews, he's a cool guy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's very nice.
He's a very good actor who made a lot of good friends in the entertainment world. Because the fact that he's in Guardians of the Galaxy, he met the right people. He's staying loyal to the right people. He was in Walking Dead for years. So this is why.
Great actor. Always
good
been a
old
fan of
days.
Michael Rooker.
Yeah, really good actor. Yeah, really good actor.
He even had like a I remember him in Above the Law. He has like one line in it when Steve Zissou beats
Oh,
him
really?
up.
The movie that
I
Yeah,
don't
is
even
that-
remember that. I'll have to check.
the
And
movie that
it's the first time you see him at a bar, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know pigs come in here." And then that's when Seagal does like his first move at this bar, like the first 20, 15
Now-
minutes of the movies.
Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer was not released until 1990. So the first time I saw him, and he made such an impression on me as a kid, was Mississippi Burning. Because when he shows, I mean, you
I was going to
believe
point that out as a true crime film because it is one.
Yeah, I mean, he shows up in that film, and you really believe he's that white redneck guy from Mississippi. And when Gene Hackman grabs him by the balls, and then just knocks him down off the chair, it's just like, oh my! I mean, only someone like Hackman could take down Rooker. So
Pac-Man.
Well, and Henry is such a grim, bleak movie. I mean, it's almost documentary like in the fact that they recorded a bunch of their murders, only sort of adds to it. And I love the ending, just such a downer but such a quiet, implied ending where he just he puts the briefcase or the big luggage on the side of the road, and that woman's body is inside. And I don't know, I've always really liked that movie.
Did that movie, I mean, seriously, that movie, people talk about Jaws made them think about twice about going in the water. Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer has made me a cautious driver, because whenever I drive and I see like something on the side of the road, I'm always worried it's a suitcase with a body. Or a garbage bag. Whenever I see a garbage bag in the bushes, I go, oh.
I know. I mean, I think we've all seen like garbage bags abandoned on a highway, which is most likely garbage. But I'll often think like if somebody disposed some body parts.
Either dead kittens or body parts in there.
I saw there was I was driving down this sort of back road, and there was a black garbage bag on the side of the road.
Any other kind of road in Kentucky? Sorry.
And how dare you? And there was a big truck in front of me, and right as the big truck got up on this bag, like wind blew it into the truck. The truck hit it, tore the bag open, adult toys inside.
Oh wow!
YOLO.
That's funny.
Yep. So somebody decided to get rid of their toys on the side of the road in a black garbage bag. They just threw it out the window. Done. So,
wow.
On their way to church.
On their way to probably.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
I'm done with this.
Oh gosh, yeah. True story. Speaking of true crimes, that was
awesome.
That was a true crime right there. Yeah. So, any others on your list, Rambo?
No, I mean, there's some I want to see. I've heard of Dahmer, with starring Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, I saw
which
that.
I would like to see
Quite
because I
good.
like Jeremy Renner.
Way back when nobody knew who he was.
That one is very good. I should have put that one on my list because I used to really like that movie. It's been a while, but it is pretty good. Yeah.
My memory's terrible, but Mark Harmon, didn't he play in a Dahmer
Ted Bundy.
thing?
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. See, I knew it was something like that. It was Bundy's another one.
Deliberate Stranger. Stranger.
Oh, right.
And it came out the same time as Summer School.
So, when we were talking about
we were talking about Summer School.
When we were talking about Summer School that episode, I said when I see Mark Harmon, I see Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Did you guys say Jeremy Renner is Dahmer yet?
Yeah.
Did I hear that already?
Yeah.
That's what we just said. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what reminded me of Bundy with Harmon.
I never saw any of those movies. There's the Dahmer, the Gacy, the Ed Gein one, because they all had the same DVD cover. And so,
they're all shit.
And I was like, oh, I don't want to see them. But then I'm hearing good things about them now, so maybe I should go back.
Quite a few of them are pretty good.
Well, Ed
I'll
Gein.
talk about one that's in the same vein later.
Ed Gein's another one.
Well, Ed Gein is actually on my list, and it is a pretty good movie. And the guy that directed Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer Part 2.
And the guy who plays him also played Charles Manson in Helter Skelter, Stephen Railsback.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're talking about Gacy. That's probably the serial killer that hit close to home for me because I grew up 59 miles outside of Chicago, and I was in the right age group for his victims.
Ooh.
So, like, hearing about that shit on the radio when I was a kid, Gacy is the one that really affects me the most.
Yeah.
You could have beat his ass with 2 hands tied behind your back, Mike. Don't worry about that shit.
Well, but what happened was he tricked you and got your hands behind your back, and then you were screwed, literally and figuratively.
And Pink Floyd's The Wall was a big hit around that time. And some of my friends and I, we changed the words to Another Brick in the Wall to Another Kid in the Crawl.
Oh, wow.
God. Jesus.
Dude, that's how much it affected us at that. We're riding around on our bikes, singing that song.
Well, and we talked about Mark Harmon as Bundy. Brian Dennehy played Gacy in the
Dear
Gacy
Mr. Gacy?
TV movie. And when I see Brian Dennehy, or when I would see Brian Dennehy in movies, I would think Gacy. Even when he was in like Tommy Boy, dancing with Chris Farley, I was thinking Gacy.
So Gacy was hunting down Rambo in First Blood.
I guess I haven't seen this one.
So
I need to. That sounds interesting. I like Brian Denny.
Yeah.
Good actor. Yeah.
Is that Dear Mr. Gacy? That's the one? Where
no, it was called I forget what it was called, but it was like a 2-part mini-series.
Okay. No, I saw one called Dear Mr. Gacy. It's about guy. He's like a reporter and stuff now, but he was still in university doing journalism. And for an assignment, he convinced his professor to let him try to get into contact with Gacy. And so he started sending him like letters and stuff. And then eventually he liked him enough that he'd let him visit him in prison and stuff. And it's kind of interesting because it did happen. It was true, but like how he was totally willing to kind of even like flirt with Gacy a little and stuff. Like he would send him like shirtless photos and stuff just to get on Gacy's good side, to let him go in, and they get really wrapped up in each other. It's not too bad for one of those like low budget made for TV type movies. I don't remember who plays Gacy in that. I'll have to look it up.
Well, there was another Gacy movie where the guy Chunk from Teen Wolf played Gacy.
Oh wow.
Or Chubbs. Chubbs.
Yeah. Chunk is Goonies.
Exactly.
I just so you guys know, I went on Amazon just now, looked up Deliberate Stranger. It is available Warner Archives DVD for $15. The scary thing is right underneath it. It says Amazon also recommends to you Deliberate Orgasm. So yeah. So the fact that they combined the Bundy film with exactly.
Wow.
Okay, the Gacy in that one is William Forsythe, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's not amazing or anything like that, but yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. Well, and to get back to Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, Henry Lee Lucas confessed to like hundreds of murders because like we don't know how many people he truly killed because he was confessing for cheeseburgers. They'd say, if you'll confess to this crime and so we can close it, we'll give you a cheeseburger. We'll do this for you, that for you. And he's like, yeah, I killed her. Yeah. Yep. I did. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't like cheeseburgers that much.
He confessed to a lot of murders.
They know they can't do anything more to him, right? They've already got him for a bunch of murders. What's it more?
But his co-conspirator in that movie, Otis, is actually, I guess they confirmed it, that he is the one responsible for killing that little boy Adam. That Walsh. Adam Walsh, when we were kids, that was the most famous like abduction. I remember that whole thing, which led to America's Most Wanted.
Now, did they confirm that he really did it? Because I know that he was claiming to have done it.
Yeah. He claimed it, but now they've actually shut the case on it, saying that he did do it.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. Which is weird. You wouldn't think that a random kidnapping murder of a little kid would trace back to a famous serial killer too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He says
that's one of the things that made it unique was like that there weren't too many like tandems and stuff like that, and the fact that they worked together. That happened a few times. Green River Killer and a few others, but
he was abducted from that shopping mall where he was last seen.
Yeah,
and they said they drove around with his head in the trunk for like a month.
Ugh.
Yeah. I remember because I was around that same age, and it was everywhere, because it came out right around that same time. There was a movie called Without a Trace that came out about a little boy like walked to school, never got there, and then it was really big. That was the beginning of the milk carton stuff and everything. So, yeah.
And shit like that is why people are so overprotective now. I mean, even though it was so few and far between, but it was all over the news.
Well, the reason why people are helicopter parents so much right now is because everyone on social media, Facebook. So even if something happened in another state that you never would have heard about, it's showing up on your news feed because all your friends are commenting on news stories. And so it seems like all these horrible things are happening in your town. You know?
Or when the Amber Alert goes off on my phone all the time.
Yeah.
Just like how in like 90 some percent of these cases, abductions, it's a family member or a friend or stuff like that. But the ones you hear about are the ones everyone freaks out about, which is a total stranger, that just grabs the kid and stuff. Because they do happen, but they don't happen nearly as much. But it's the one everybody freaks out. Just the same thing with like the idea of like home invasions. Home invasions are actually quite rare, especially violent home invasions. But it's the thing most people fear the most. So when it does happen, people freak out about it and gun sales go up and all that.
And that is the scariest scene in Henry and Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh,
is not the husband and wife being killed, but the part that freaks everybody out is get the kid when the kid comes walking the house and they just snap his neck. I mean, that is something you'd never see in a horror movie or true crime film. I mean, it's just right there,
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Well, Unsolved Mysteries scared the crap out of me growing up. I've documented that here quite a number of times, but Unsolved Mysteries just freaked the crap out of me. And whenever they would do, I remember one they did where, like they had a Polaroid of two kids that had been abducted in the back of a van, and they showed the actual Polaroid of the kids.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, like you could see the terror in their faces. And I was just like, oh my God. And like, I was a little kid. When I would see a van, I would like, I remember one time I was out shooting basketball down the street from where I live, and here comes a white van down the street. I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to get me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like that freaked out. So,
yeah.
Thank you, Robert Stack.
Yep.
Robert Stack. Yeah. He walks in and out of my nightmares to this day.
And the scary thing about
in a big trench coat, he walks out of smoke in my nightmare.
The scary thing about Unsolved Mysteries
found his face.
It wasn't a weekly show at first. It was just a once in a while show. And so like whenever it came on, it was like, oh, Mom, can I watch it? Yeah, go ahead. And then it became a weekly show like a year later. And then that's, it was just so scary. And it's not even like a horror show, but it was like so moody and atmospheric. And
exactly right.
Yeah.
It was like, as somebody who was like sort of a younger kid in the early 90s and the stuff of that start, it was easily one of the first adult shows I cared about. Like, I watched all my kids' shows and stuff like that. The adults had their shows. I didn't give a shit, maybe a sitcom or two and stuff like that. This was like an adult show that I really wanted to watch and really grabbed my attention as a kid, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Cole, what kind of true crime movies are on your list, bud?
Actually, a few more than I thought. At least, there's still time to get in other things. Because at first, I thought I'd mostly be talking about ones that sort of let me down, disappointed me. But one that I just remiss because I think I mentioned it on the show before, but I completely forgot about it when we did our TV movies one, and I've only seen it the once. It's a made-for-TV movie from the late '90s, starring Ricky Schroeder and Freddie Prinze Jr. and Henry Winkler, and it's called Detention: The Siege at Johnson High. And it's about a school shooting, and it's based on a real shooting that happened in 1992. And Ricky Schroeder is actually extremely good in it. It's a disturbed young man that goes in and starts shooting and takes the class hostage and stuff like that. And Henry Winkler, and perhaps his greatest dramatic thing I've ever seen him do, plays the cop that he sort of starts to form the bond with as they talk and do the negotiation stuff. And Freddie Prinze Jr. is in there as like a classmate that sort of the shooter appoints. It's like, okay, you're like my spokesman. You'll like go get the food for us, and you'll talk to the cops for me and stuff. And it's a really well done movie for just a TV movie and stuff. And it made me like research the real case afterwards. So it was a school shooting in 1992, Lyndhurst High School. I'm not sure where that was and stuff. Where a few people died and stuff. So I don't know. I'd like an opportunity to watch it again. Maybe I can find it online or something. But I thought it was actually a very powerful movie, and it came out in '97. When even though school shootings had happened, they hadn't become what they would post Columbine, right? So I saw this probably maybe a year before Columbine, just on TV, and when Columbine was happening, it sort of flashed my brain back to it. So I think that's an interesting one. And I'm just sort of used to Henry Winkler just making fun of himself in movies, and just most of the time it's sort of like, here's Henry Winkler, doing some goofy role and stuff. But it's a very completely straight role that he plays quite well. I think he's just like this cop, all stuff at the end, because he finally convinces the killer to like give himself up and come out, and he says like, I'll make sure they don't hurt you, and I'll be the first person you see and stuff. And he's like, okay. And then none of the cops let him do that. He comes out, he has his shirt off because they can do that. the SWAT team very, very heavily takes him down. He's looking around. He can't even see Henry Winkler. And then he finally sees Henry Winkler like through the crowd, and he's sort of putting his hands up like, I didn't trick you. They wouldn't let me. I mean, you actually feel really bad and stuff. I don't know. I just thought it was a pretty powerful movie for made for TV thing. My favorite, like I said, I found it's more like on the highly fictionalized side end that I like the most, which is too bad because I'm into true crime and I like the stuff that's most real. I just feel like there haven't been too many movies that do it that well. So my favorite is probably Badlands, which is right up there in the same vein as the 1967 Bonnie and Clyde, and stylized and done in such a way that really it doesn't make the killers into heroes or anything, but you sympathize more with them and stuff like that. And of course, this is based on the Starkweather stuff of the late 50s, that killing spree, him and the girl going across the country shooting people. And you've got Martin Sheen in it, likable young man who, except for whatever reason, gets a kick out of killing people and stuff, and very artistic and awesome movie. So that's always one of my favorites.
Cole,
right
before you move on, I just want you to know your Detention, The Siege at Johnson High is available on DVD, but it goes by the title Hostage High.
Wow.
They changed the title. And it's
as well.
And it's uncut director's edition, apparently. So
Yeah. But I mean, if somebody that didn't really know the younger Ricky Schroeder or what he was known for and stuff like that, it was sort of lost on me. And then I have to go back and see Ricky Schroeder when he was the child actor in this, because in this he looks almost kind of like a young sort of Kurt Cobain, and he's really sort of edgy and stuff. And I guess for people that were familiar with him when he was younger, it would kind of be a shock to see him doing this and stuff. But he's quite good in it. But that's good to know. Catch Me If You Can is one I like a lot. I know that we brought up Wolf of Wall Street, but my favorite true crime with Leo DiCaprio is less gritty and is more fun, and that's Catch Me If You Can, which I realize is more lighthearted, but it is a crime drama in a lot of ways. That he was just a different sort of criminal, and I don't know. It's just a really fascinating case, and again, they took liberties here and there, but the truth is he still did most of those things, and it really shined a light on commit that sort of fraud back then, how you could fake checks and all those things, to the point that the FBI actually wound up employing him so they could stop it. I just always thought that was a really cool story anyway. And then it's a really good movie. I think it's in the Spielberg movie and stuff, Tom Hanks and everything. I mean, I haven't seen it in years. I don't I loved it when I first saw it. It was one of my favorite movies by far. I don't hold it that high anymore, and I still really find that to be a really fun, enjoyable movie, and sort of, again, a different thing when it comes to true crime, because it's not about murder and stuff like that. It's just sort of about a kid running around living the dream by lying to everyone, but lying so effectively and successfully and stuff that you can't help but be impressed. I've always found that a really fascinating story anyway, and it's a really good, big, glitzy Hollywood movie, but they do a good job of it, I think. So that's definitely a favorite. We didn't really talk about Mississippi Burning, but I mean, you don't have to get into a thing about it. I mean, I just think it's a competent, well-done movie that mostly is pretty true to life and stuff. And I know it's always hard shooting those sorts of movies, considering Jay said it's being from Mississippi, it was shot around where he was from. And I know it's the type of thing that people that are from an area don't really like to reflect on, because it makes them look bad and stuff. So I don't know if it was really an easy movie for them to shoot or anything like that, or if people were opposed to it and stuff. But it's good when stories that need to be told are told, even if it's not 100% accurate and stuff. I think they had pretty good intentions with the movie. I don't think it was just, here's another way to make money. But yeah, who's the other guy in that with Gene Hackman? Willem Dafoe. Yeah, those two sort of as a team is really appealing to me. I liked how they sort of work together in that movie. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something about Mississippi Burning? I don't know if anybody's
sure, absolutely.
I love this movie, so turn off your ears if you don't want to know a spoiler about it. I just love the movie so much, and one of the things I love about it is that Willem Dafoe is telling Gene Hackman through the whole movie for about an hour and 50 minutes, trust me, we're going to get this done. And finally, there is a turning point about an hour and 45, hour and 50 minutes into that movie, and Gene Hackman just smacks Willem Dafoe across the face and says, we're going to do this now my way, on my schedule. And Willem Dafoe goes, okay, you can do it your way. And the movie ends in 10 minutes. because Gene Hackman just takes hold of that movie and just arrests them all. It's fantastic.
And I mean, the movie does a good job of conveying, like, even though they're the FBI, they should be able to do this. Like, just how difficult it was, what they were fighting against, because it wasn't, it was so many people didn't want solved, and it was a thing where cops and all sorts of people were just willing to look the other way and forget, and just how difficult it was, even with the authority of the FBI behind them, just like how difficult it was for them to make any sort of progress or headway in it, and people sort of resisting them at every turn. And it just breaks your heart for, of course, the people that have been killed in the beginning, because I mean, anybody that dies in those situations, it's a terrible thing. But then you think about people, and no, this isn't one of those things where I'm trying to say anything about white people being more heroic, and of course not. I'm just saying there were white people in the civil rights units where, of course, they at least had the option. They didn't have to go on the front line, and they did, and that's an incredibly brave thing, and some of them did pay the ultimate price for it, and it's very sad and stuff. So it's good that people like that, all the people, I mean, any color, of course, are remembered. So yeah, a really powerful, cool movie that I like a lot. One of my favorite true crime books, and it's a decent adaptation. The book is still better, but a decent adaptation is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with or heard about at least.
Heard about it, yeah.
Yeah. You guys never saw the movie?
Not seen the movie, no.
Well, I'd recommend the movie for sure. Okay, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, it's true. It's just about a journalist who finds himself in old styles like Savannah, Georgia, I think in like the late 70s or something like that, and he's down there just to sort of assignment is, but he's on there for like just a different sort of assignment, nothing to do with anything, and he gets to know this very well-known prevalent member of society, wealthy guy in, it's the old South sort of circles, all these people that sort of act like the Civil War never happened or whatever, or they're still hanging on, and all the Southern gentlemen and stuff like that, and a lot of them are very and there's even a point, it's funny, as he gets introduced to more and more of these people, there's even a point where like his character played by John Cusack in the movie, he's on the phone with his agent saying like how he has to write a book about these people. He's like, they're all rich as hell and crazy and armed to the teeth and drunk. You have to let me write about this. It's funny. And what, of course, happens is he gets to know very well this man. And it's also an open secret that this man is gay, which is kind of surprising because, again, it's supposed to be seen as a very, conservative area, where that would be really frowned on. But in, like, the higher circles, it's just an open secret. Pretty much everybody knows it, but nobody acknowledges it. And they're all fine with it because he throws good parties and stuff. He's a very eccentric guy. Like, there was a point where, like, this is true, and this is real life. There was a film crew filming just off his property. Annoyed as hell that they were filming the movie there, but he couldn't do legally anything about it because they're at the edge of his property. But he was annoyed, and being a rich weirdo that he is, he collected a lot of stuff. And in his collection, he had some Nazi memorabilia. So there's a part where one of his balconies is like in their shot, and so he hangs like a huge like swastika flag from the balcony, so that the whole film crew is forced to move and stuff. And that really did happen. That's real life and stuff. But anyway, what happens is he does get murdered, and it's not like a mystery or anything like that. He has like a young bisexual lover played by a young unknown Jude Law at the time, who or it's not, he doesn't get killed, he kills him. They have some sort of argument, and the whole case is, well, I killed him in self-defense. And it just goes on from there. And the book is exquisitely done. And it's one of the better true crime books I've ever read, where the facts are really dug into this guy. And of course, now the guy really stays, and he has to cover all this because he's also involved now because he's sort of friends with the rich guy too. And it's about the ensuing trial. Now, being a movie, what they'll do is they'll speed up events, they'll condense things. In the book, trials take a long time and all sorts of stuff goes on. But I mean, I'm surprised other people haven't seen it. I would totally recommend it. It's a really good role for John Cusack. And the rich gay guy is
Kevin Spacey.
And Kevin Spacey, he gives a really good, memorable role. So I would totally recommend that movie. It's a really fun movie. And another thing is, one of the eccentric characters he met, transgender woman, who called herself an African American who called herself the Lady Chablis. She plays herself in the movie. That's the real her, just about 15 years older than when the events happened. She actually died a few years ago, but and she really is something. You have to give credit. And it's funny because him being sort of a little naive, he it takes them actually a long time to like clue in that like it's not a biological woman and stuff, and there's some funny stuff in there, and it's very Southern Gothic. There's a part where like he goes to like some graveyard and stuff, and I think some sort of like black magic ritual is happening. It's been a while, but it's an excellent book, and the movie, like a lot of adaptations, isn't quite as good, but it's pretty good, and I really enjoy it. It's a movie I haven't seen in a while, and I really would like to watch again and throw on. Just good actors doing good stuff. So that's one I would totally recommend to you guys if you hadn't seen it, because I think it's a really interesting movie.
Okay, cool.
Even did when I was in journalism, I wrote a paper about the book and stuff. So I got pretty into it because it was a book that we were assigned because it was supposed to show us like here's like a good example of investigative journalism, and you know, and how to do what we were doing. I was doing a course called like creative nonfiction, which basically was started with the most famous, and I guess I'll point this out since we didn't get to it, the most famous and probably first really big true crime movie, In Cold Blood. Yeah. And once again, the movie is not quite as good as the book is, the Truman Capote book, but also, since we're on the subject, even though they're different, I would totally recommend the movie Capote. I would totally recommend the movie, what's the other one? It came out around the same time.
Infamous?
Infamous with Toby Jones.
Yeah,
because a lot of people were really high on, and I am too, on
Capote.
Yeah, Capote, but the actor, he's dead, Philip Seymour Hoffman. But I'm thinking Toby Jones was just as good, man. I thought he was really good. And the main difference in them, and I do like Capote more. The main difference is Infamous does take a few more liberties because they really press the theory that of the two killers that he was talking to. Of course, he was much closer to one of them. The other, I think, was Perry, and it's really like implied, and it's really basically not just implied, but almost stated in like Infamous that like they were sort of like getting into some sort of romantic entanglement with each other and stuff. They really pushed that hard in Infamous, whereas in Capote it's less there. But I mean, just so In Cold Blood is an excellent movie, and the book, of course, kicked off almost single-handedly kicked off the whole idea of true crime. It wasn't really something that had been done before, and it's interesting too because it was a weird thing for take on if you knew what he'd been writing beforehand and stuff like that. That this very colorful character, as we say, and a writer, who is friends with Tennessee Williams and all these people and the kind of stuff he wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's and stuff, that he would be inspired by these killings to almost single-handedly create the whole true crime phenomenon himself. And it's interesting from that standpoint. And it's also interesting because it broke him. He never wrote anything for the rest of his life afterwards. Like, he would just like go on TV drunk and talk, and his health would deteriorate, and then he died. Like, project, it took him forever to write it, and because at first it was just going to be an article for the New Yorker, he's writing for the New Yorker, and he's like, it's bigger than this, it's going to be a book. And then it just kept going on and on. He didn't even know how to end it, and he was actually secretly, as you see in Capote, he was really kind of hoping they would just get executed and get it over with because he couldn't handle it emotionally anymore and stuff. And I don't know. So as an extension of that, I would totally recommend those two movies and stuff. But it does start with the movie In Cold Blood, which is a very good movie. Again, in the same thing as Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, I would say the book is better, but that's how it usually goes. But still, a really good movie, and that came out in like the 60s and stuff. And and it was a murder that happened in 58, 59, something like that. And I don't know. I think it was one of the first ones to really shine a light on real life violence outside of like war or something like that. So anyway, I'm already taking more time than I thought it would. So I'll just do one more, and I can't talk much about it because I forget most of it. It's a movie that seems awfully overlooked, considering that it was a big movie. It was a Spielberg movie, and that's Munich. Nobody seems to remember Munich, or nobody saw it, but I thought Munich was a really good, haunting, harrowing movie. And this is one where I'm a little unsure of how true to life it is. But for those who don't know, I mean, it's about the terrorist actions in 1972 Olympics in Munich, and the hostages being killed, and the German authorities, there was no such thing as like anti-terrorism back then, and them being like woefully in a with it, and how it was a disaster and stuff. And of course, the movie is more about the aftermath, about the Israeli special forces agents, the Mossad agents, that were tasked by their government to hunt down the perpetrators and exact justice on them, by which I mean murder them in turn. And the movie, I mean, again, I don't. It's hard to tell because so much of the stuff is classified and stuff, and you don't really know what was true and what wasn't, or what they decided to change. But I mean, it just does a really good job of sort of exploring revenge and justice and vengeance and like, does it really do any good? People have been killed. Is it really doing any good to kill the killers? Does that really balance things out or help the world and stuff like that? And it sort of shows how it takes away from some of the characters, sort of like a bit losing their humanity a bit through it and stuff. But I mean, Eric Bana, Daniel Craig are in there, Jeffrey Rush. But it's a little long, and at points it's kind of hard to follow, and I forget most of it, so I can't tell. But I just thought it was a really well done, powerful movie that sort of explains the other side of that. Because I don't know, it's still a thing now. When we hear about killings and stuff like that, we still have kind of like the old school. We want justice and revenge and stuff, but it's never really that cut and dried, and it's a lot more complex and stuff. Like I think about like when Osama bin Laden was killed, it was a good thing. The world was better off without him for sure. He had it coming. And maybe, and I know people will say, well, you're not an American and stuff, and you weren't as directly affected. So that's fair enough. But to me, I never understood people celebrating it. I thought that was kind of too far. I thought that was kind of grim and awful that people would, be like cheering and celebrating and stuff. And this movie kind of takes a look at that kind of thing too. Like, at the end of the day, what are we really getting out of our revenge and stuff? And it's stuff like that. So there's probably other movies that maybe even do it better. But as far as true crime goes, I just always thought Munich was a good movie that I definitely have to visit and stuff. But I don't know. It's just pretty cool too, because it just sort of shows like what the life of these Mossad agents was like, and how they got their information, and how they had to go about achieving their objectives and stuff. And again, it's hard to pin down how real world that is, but it is true. That absolutely happened. So I like a lot, and definitely have to watch again because I can't remember it well enough to talk about it properly.
Okay.
But
well, if there's any others that are on your list, Cole, we'll definitely come back around.
Like I said, there might be a couple I bring up just because I actually were kind of disappointed in them, but those are ones I thought were really good, or ones I liked a lot. So yeah.
Okay. Well, Cameron, I know you're actually working on a true crime movie. Is that correct?
That is correct. I wasn't expecting to talk about it up front, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, go ahead and tell us about it, and then we'll segue into your list.
All right. Well, years ago, around 2009, I first heard about at the time, it was an unknown serial killer. It's an uncaught serial killer. He was known as the East Area Rapist. He attacked people about 3 hours north of me, and then down the state about 6 hours south of me, for about 10 years, 1976 to 1986. And he was more prominent from like 76 to 81, and then it stopped. His crime spree stopped for about 5 years, and then he came out of hiding in 1986, killed this one 18-year-old girl, and then has vanished ever since. So I started working on a script and a film based on the last victim and her life story, and perhaps why he came out of hiding for this one girl. And that got me involved with her family, and I've been working on it ever since. The problem is, obviously, when you do independent films, about financing and all that stuff. But if you start talking about uncaught serial killers, uncaught serial rapists, back in 2009, 2010, people were just kind of nervous and shy about, funding something like that. It wasn't until there was a guy that made a True Hollywood Story kind of thing about these cases, and I knew him, and then he reached out to Michelle McNamara, who is Patton Oswalt's wife, or was. She just recently died, and we started investigating these cases. Her from a journalistic perspective, me from a film journalistic perspective, and then him from a documentarian perspective. And so then all of a sudden, because obviously Michelle got involved and Patton obviously is her husband, they were able to get a lot of publicity. So now there's a tremendous amount of publicity about these cases now. Whereas, 6-7 years ago, there wasn't anything about these things. So people are more interested now. So people are more interested in maybe helping me get this movie finally made. The problem is, if I had done this back in 2009, I would have been like the first one out of the gate. And now, you know, people are going to be like, oh, well, we already knew of this or knew that. Where at the time, you know, it was all new information. But in me having to spread the word and talk to websites and different, you know, blogs and stuff like that, it's like everywhere on the internet now. They renamed him Michelle McNamara. She renamed him the Golden State Killer. He was originally known as the East Area Rapist or Original Night Stalker, and then she kind of took that and created her own name on that. But like I said, she recently died, so I heard Patton might be finishing her book. I'm not positive about that. The documentarian is working on an 8 to 10 hour documentary series about these cases. And then I, of course, am trying to do the feature film that's based on this. And anybody who's interested in it, there's a Facebook page. It's called Bird with a Broken Wing. It's gotten a lot of publicity. Unfortunately, that publicity has not translated into money.
Hey, that's weird. I saw an interview with Oswald when he was talking about his wife's involvement in that research and how it disturbed her, and how, you know, he kind of thought maybe that might have led to what happened to her.
Oh, it certainly gave me sleepless nights. I mean, you read these cases, and you're talking about home invasions earlier. Every single one of these are home invasions, and I mean, it makes you think. It makes you think that you have to sleep with a shotgun by your side or something. But you know, the big thing with this guy was that he would come in during the day while you were at work and put stuff all around the house so that he was equipped for whatever was going on. He knew your house before you came home, so that when he came in and disrupted you while you slept, he was already prepared. He had flashlights, he had ropes, he had underneath the couches, the chairs, and he would be in there for hours and hours. And he raped over 50 people about 3 hours north of me, and then he killed at least 10 people that we know of. So yeah, it's a truly disturbing story. I'm thinking about maybe doing another crowdfunding thing later in the summer when the documentarian starts publicizing his project. Then maybe I'll get some of his leftovers. I'm hoping. So yeah, it's and I've had people, Harry Manfredini, who of course we all know did the music for Friday 13th and House and all those great movies. He wants to do the music score for this thing. So there's that. I've been talking. I've talked a few times with Patton Oswalt about, like, come on, man, you know all these rich people. Can you help me out here? But his wife got really into writing a book. Obviously, his support went, towards that, obviously. But interesting story is that the girl that her name was Janelle Lisa Cruz, when she was younger, when she was in high school, in 1984, 1985, she dated a guy. This was in Irvine, California, which is about an hour. It's right next to Disneyland, basically. Her boyfriend at the time lived next door to Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell was a kid that grew up in Irvine, California, and then moved to New York and did Saturday Night Live. So, I've tried to reach out to him, but of course he's impossible to get hold of. So I was like, come on, Pat, and get me involved, get me hooked up with Will Ferrell. But unfortunately, that's never happened. But the film's gotten tons of support and just emotional support. It's really interesting that it's been talked about on ABC News. It's been talked about in magazines and newspapers, and I've been interviewed by various outlets, and what's fascinating to me is it hasn't translated into anybody saying, hey, I'd really like to help you out, or I'd like to introduce you to other people. It's like, I can't wait to see that movie, but that's all it gets.
But I'm not going to help you make it.
Yeah. Let me know when it's out. Good luck.
You can just say, I'd like to see it too. Can you help a brother out?
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to see it. Can you give me money? No.
Well, even even if I could just do like a 20-minute test film to show people what the movie would be like, but you need actors for that. Unfortunately,
Well,
that hasn't happened.
I remember hearing about the East Area Rapist years ago and just being like really disturbed at how, like you said, methodical, and like he almost reminded me of like the Neil McCauley character from Heat. Like he's so methodical, he's so, you know what I mean? But a rapist, like he would break into the houses. Like if there was a man there, he would like put plates on the chest and be like, if I hear these plates rattle, I'm going to kill all of you.
Right.
And like at first he was just a rapist, and then he became a murderer, and then he moved, and he, so I mean it was. Yeah.
Well, the problem was that a couple of people he was attacking, they got away from him, and so he realized that he had to start killing them. So that's how it kind of translated.
And never. And were there even any suspects?
Well, the thing is that they never knew it was the same person except for the rapes. Once it came down to the murders, he kind of picked the right people because the people all had just a lot of people around them that could have killed them. He picked couples that were having massive infidelities with on each other. So it could have been any of their jilted lovers. It wasn't until 15, 16 years after the last victim that they matched the DNA and realized it was all the same person. So they were investigating all the wrong people for almost 20 years. So and he kept changing his way of doing things. So so there's a lot of people theorize that he probably knew people in law enforcement, or, because how did you know that DNA was coming up? So he would be careful to do this and not do that, so he changed with the times.
Cameron, you said that you have a hard time finding actors, and you live in California. You eat out, right? You go to restaurants. I mean, credits are worth more than money in the acting field. I can't believe you're tripping over them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't live in Los Angeles. I have a thing. So, I have a lot of local theater actors around me, but theater actors do not like to be film actors, or vice versa.
It's a completely different approach.
Yeah. So there's that. But hopefully, with this documentary being made, hopefully it will. I mean, I have over 1,000 people on that Facebook page that support the movie, which is fantastic, and I just cherish all of them. But and unfortunately, it has not translated into other things to the point where I'm like, well, maybe I should just take the script and turn it into a book, or turn it into my favorite thing would be turning it into a graphic novel. I think that'd be amazing to do it like From Hell or something like that. Just a giant, 500-page graphic novel, but I don't know any artists. So there it is.
Well, I can say I have been told I look like a rapist. So prison rapist.
Yeah.
So if you need an actor.
But anybody watching this, please just go to the Facebook page, give it a like, because hopefully there'll be some new news to report.
What's the Facebook again?
It's called Bird with a Broken Wing. And that is the name of a poem that the girl wrote just before she was killed. And I thought it kind of matches her personality, and it also matches his personality, because he had a screw loose too. So,
wow. Now, would the killer even still be alive today? I mean, wasn't this a long time ago? Is it?
Yeah, they think. Well, the FBI has just in the last few months reopened all the cases. They're offering $50,000 for any information. So they obviously think he's alive, but obviously he never had any kids that went into jail. This case led to in California, it's called Prop 69 got passed, which is if you go to jail or prison, they extract your DNA and they put it into a computer to see if any of your relatives match up or whatever like that for other crimes. And these cases started that because one of the victims, his brother is like a millionaire, and he got that passed in California too. I don't think it's nationwide. I think it's just California. But that was kind of a big thing that happened, which I'm all for. I mean, why not? That's how they tracked down. That's how they tracked down the this serial killer called the Grim Sleeper down in LA. They arrested his son, and they extracted his DNA, and then realized, oh, you have a partial match to a serial killer that killed all these women, and they found out it was his dad. So, yeah, who of course worked for the police department of Los Angeles.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyway,
Well, what are some of your favorite true crime movies?
All right. Well, you guys have named so many of them, but let me just throw out a few. I've mentioned a few times on this podcast that I live about a half hour, 40 minutes away from Santa Cruz, where they filmed The Lost Boys. But if you go about 20 more minutes up the road, you hit San Jose, California. So about an hour and 10 minutes north of me. And that is the scene of one of the greatest true crime films of all time. It's probably on your list, Piz, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. And that is River's Edge. One of my favorites, but that is where it took place. Was about an hour and 10 minutes north of me. I don't. Are we going to talk about this movie later, Piz?
Sure. We'll go ahead and talk about it. Go ahead and talk about it now.
River's Edge is a Tim Hunter movie. Just watching the movie, you can see why David Lynch hired him to direct episodes of Twin Peaks. It is an amazing film. It's Dennis Hopper coming right off of Hoosiers and Blue Velvet. It's a story about a kid in high school who murders his girlfriend and basically for the next week or so brings all his friends repeatedly down by the river to look at the dead body, and how nobody pretty much turns him in. It has one of the best performances by Keanu Reeves, Ione Skye, definitely Crispin Glover. Oh yeah. I mean, he's great in Back to the Future, but River's Edge is where Crispin Glover became Crispin Glover. It's just and it's one of those movies. Yeah, it's one of those movies where you start it up and you're like, all right, I'm gonna watch maybe 10 minutes of it. You always watch the whole movie. It's just compulsive. You know. It's one of those movies that I watched as a kid and it just blew me away. It led into another film that I love. It's maybe on your list too, which is Larry Clark's Bully.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
I think that to me is kids done right.
Can't do either.
Yeah, but Bully
for me. I get it though. I get it.
I read the true crime book when I worked at a bookstore of Bully, and then when I saw that they had made a movie of it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, it's directed by the guy who did Kids. Interesting. And then when you see it, you go, oh my god, like this is. I mean, sorry, Cole, but I think Bully is a near masterpiece.
No, I know. I mean,
those actors.
It's too depraved, is what I mean. I don't mean it's not.
Well, that's the thing.
It's not well done. I mean, that's the point.
Well, that's what I like about it is that it's so honest about who these people were. So much so that even some of the actors won't even talk to Larry Clark anymore.
I mean, it got real.
So Brad Renfro, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Brad Renfro.
Yeah.
The guy who played John Connor in Terminator 3.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. Nick Stahl. There it goes.
Yeah. That is just that's what another movie that
I should watch it again.
Everybody I've ever shown that movie to, they're in stunned silence by the end of that movie. Let me.
But about River's Edge, just because it's a plug. Jay and I did go into depth on that on our own show. If anybody's interested, we did an episode all about River's Edge. So if anybody wants to see some discussion on that, or at least, but if you haven't, but wait, see the movie first if you haven't, because we do spoilers. But anyway, just to let people know that's out there, because Jay was a big fan of that film too, and that's how we got.
Dennis Hopper's in there, guys. Come on.
Oh yeah,
with a blow up doll.
With a blow up doll, yeah.
Yeah, and it's honestly one of the best performances by and of course I can't remember. He's like in everything. He was in Lost. He's in all the Rob Zombie movies. What is that guy's name? The guy who played the killer.
Oh god, I'm not gonna remember that name.
I can't even remember. But you guys, Daniel something or
Daniel Roebuck.
Daniel Roebuck. He's fantastic in that movie.
He is, yeah.
He's great, and this is interesting because it's Keanu Reeves right before Bill and Ted, and it's Ione Skye right before Say Anything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a great movie. All right, let's go. I'm gonna just touch on a few others. Criterion released it. It's one of my favorite documentaries of all time, The Thin Blue Line. It's a story about a guy who is arrested and kept in prison for 20-something years for killing a police officer that he did not kill. And this movie actually got him out of prison. So when people tell you movies don't matter, yes, some movies can change lives. This movie was made and he was released out of jail. So good stuff.
I assume he had a civil suit following.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, there's all this, all that going on. But yeah, that's a great movie. Criterion released it. It's a wonderful film. The next is a really cheapy movie. I mean, you can find it on, one of those 6 movies on one disc at Walmart type of movies. It's called 6 Degrees of Helter Skelter. And basically it was made for like, I think $5. Seriously. There's a guy that runs a kind of a tour in Hollywood where they show like where people died, celebrities died, and that type of thing. It's kind of a morbid thing. But anyway, he's like the host of this thing, and he basically walks you through the entire case of Helter Skelter and where the crime scenes happen. And he walks you through the whole thing. Like we go to the locations where everything happened, and he tells you the story of everything. And he tells you how Charles Manson was partly involved with why Bruce Lee was hired to be in playing Kato in the Green Hornet. And it's fascinating how everybody kind of knew each other in Hollywood at the time. And so that's why, so it's called the 6 Degrees of Helter Skelter. So you get to see like all the, all the dirt basically of all the celebrities that were around Manson at that time. It's so fascinating. And I don't think it ever had its own DVD release. It's just stuck on one of those 6 movies on one disc things, but it's like $5. But if you see it, 6 Degrees of Helter Skelter, I mean, check it out. It's amazing. We mentioned Zodiac. That's fantastic. I think the best true crime thing I've seen recently, it's not a movie, but it was an HBO thing called The Jinx about Robert Durst. That is one of the greatest things ever. People
Sounds like
don't
the
know.
best ending you could ever hope for. For like you couldn't plan that.
No, but Robert Durst is a family member of one of the richest families in New York. He is, on trial now for, at least 2 murders. The third, he was accused of dismembering the body, and he got away claiming self-defense after he chopped up the body.
In Galveston, Texas.
In Galveston, Texas, yeah.
The judge is actually trying to get that footage from the movie thrown out, the audio.
Exactly. You would think that would be
that would be pretty bad, because that's pretty much says it all.
But the director of that movie, he made an earlier film called Capturing the Freedmans, which is a pretty twisted little movie too. But The Jinx is so far his masterpiece. I mean, how can it not be? It's like 6 hours long. And people in the chat have been mentioning Heavenly Creatures. I'm sure that's going to come up later on the discussion. Heavenly Creatures. It is a true crime story, but it's not true at all. Peter Jackson completely made up that story, pretty much, of what happened. It is based on the story of Anne Perry, the novelist who wrote all those murder crime films. She is Kate Winslet's character.
It drives me nuts. Like she, just got to live her life and profit. Makes me sick.
Sure. But yeah, I like Heavenly Creatures, but I wouldn't say it's like the true crime film. And another one that's not quote unquote true crime
film with like dream sequences of unicorns.
I mean, it gets you into the mental state of everybody.
No, I get it. I'm just.
But it's just but half of that movie is completely fabricated. So,
sure.
And another movie that was fabricated as well, but I love it with all my heart. And people don't normally think about this as true crime, but if you guys are going to bring in Goodfellas and Casino, then I'm going to bring in JFK. Because I think that is one of the greatest true crime.
That's some fiction right there.
But
back into the left.
If 1/3 of that movie is true, that's scary enough. So, I mean, that is one of the greatest true crime mysteries of the last 50 years.
Sure.
Oliver Stone's JFK might be a long movie, but it moves almost as fast as Goodfellas in terms of the speed of the cutting and the photography. You feel like you become like, if you ever drive around town and play the soundtrack in your car, you will become one paranoid son of a bitch. Anyway, those are the big ones that I have on my list.
Okay. Well, if there's any more on your list that we don't cover, we'll come back around to you. Just about everyone on my list has been mentioned, except for one that we actually mentioned on last week's show, Citizen X, which made me want to go back and rewatch that because I remember liking it so much. I went back, I rewatched it, and it was really good. All about the what's his name? Chikatilo. Yeah, I totally forgot that Jeffrey DeMunn played Chikatilo in that, and how good he was as Chikatilo in that. Stephen Ray is great. I mean, he's good. He can, you know, he's so good at, he can be like the creepy, villain guy, and then he can be this very kind of meek good guy too. He's a really good actor. And Donald Sutherland, that his Russian accent just comes and goes and comes and goes. And there's one sequence where he's not even trying. It's just Donald Sutherland, and I love him for it, because I'm sure he was probably like, look, it hurts my throat. Let's just shoot this thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's just shoot this thing. He's like, I'm Donald Sutherland, okay? And they were just, okay, go ahead. But yeah, I really like it. Really well done. And I wanted to mention, we mentioned The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and we mentioned Zodiac. There's something about, and of course the rapist case. I'm drawing a blank here. But the fact that those are cases that were never solved.
Right.
There's something about those kinds of cases to me that are just infinitely fascinating. It's kind of the same reason why every time there's some kind of Jack the Ripper special, I have to watch it. Even if it's one I've seen before, I have to stop and watch it. You know what I mean?
Still probably the most famous,
Yeah, exactly.
But there's all these years later, more than 100 years later, that people still have so many theories and things and talk about it.
Days, man, you could kill a hooker and who would know the difference, man? Just think of how many people he probably murdered in his career.
Yeah. Well, I mean they've got 5, but you get the idea. Probably a lot more.
He could have gone anywhere though, and done the same thing, and who would have known the difference?
I mean, and there's theories too, right? There's theories that he went to the United States and started killing there. All sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's always a new theory every few months that we've got him, we figured out who it is, we've got DNA this time.
Yeah, there's some special that comes on. It's like here's the solution.
Yeah, and I can't help but watch it because it's unsolved. So I mean, there's something about that. There's something about Zodiac. There's something about The Town That Dreaded Sundown that I just find infinitely fascinating to watch. Exactly. Speaking
of the Town That Dreaded Sundown, isn't it kind of weird that there's never really been a satisfying movie, at least I'm aware of, about the Cleveland torso murderer? This would have been in the 30s and 40s, I think. That's still unsolved and stuff. And I mean, there's a very good graphic novel out there that Brian Michael Bendis wrote years ago before he joined Marvel and did all that stuff called Torso, based on it. But as far as I know, I'm not really aware of any films or anything. I mean, there must be something. Well, actually, David Fincher wanted to do a film about it, and then he wound up doing Zodiac instead. So,
well, speaking of unsolved mysteries, there was a great unsolved mystery segment about the Cleveland Torso Slayer, because it was because Robert Stack had played Elliot Ness in the original Untouchables. He was talking about because Elliot Ness tried to solve.
That he was part of that too. After he got all his fame for the stuff with Capone and stuff, it was a big deal. It's like the country's top lawman, Elliot Ness. He's going to bring this guy in, and
he never did. Yeah, he never did. And then that totally tarnished him. Forget about Capone. He couldn't solve the Torso Slayer. So that totally tarnished him. When he ran for mayor of Cleveland, he lost. Yeah. They wouldn't even. Yeah.
Yeah. He went from golden boy to loser.
He was zero.
Yeah, exactly. But I think with the Torso Slayer is he thought he swore that he had the guy. He knew who the guy was, but he was part of a very powerful family in Cleveland. And so the family put the guy into a mental hospital. And when they put him into the mental hospital, the killing stopped.
Yeah. And he died there, didn't he?
Yeah. But he would still write letters to Elliot Ness, just kind of, just to goad him, you know what I mean?
It's also like Jay said about how easy it was to get away with murder and stuff like that. It was because that part of the country and stuff, there were just so many people migrating across the country, and where he was killing, there were little shanty towns being built up outside the cities and stuff. So people were just not even documented that they were here. The cops would find bodies even if they weren't chopped up and they had no idea how to identify them because they weren't necessarily permanent residents at all. It was people were a huge number of people were coming and going through the Midwest at that time and stuff, and there was no documentation or anything to back it up and stuff. And these were the people that were getting murdered, so just almost impossible to
The Black Dahlia case fascinates me too. I love the Black Dahlia Elroy novel.
Not very good.
I hate the movie that De Palma made. The novel's great. The movie is horrible. But that's another one that's just fascinating to me too.
Sure.
But
I think there's even a theory that it's like the same killer.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a theory, right? But yeah.
Yeah. But I love the Talent Dreaded Sundown. I like Zodiac a lot too. You mentioned Bully, and Bully was definitely on my list. That's one of those movies. I mean, it's very grim, it's very disturbing, but that's exactly what you want with a Larry Clark movie. There's an interview with Larry Clark that he did for the Bret Easton Ellis podcast where they talk about Bully. Mm-hmm. And Larry Clark talks about it very unfiltered, as you would expect from Larry Clark. Like, he talks about how he was having to work with Brad Renfro, who was blown out of his mind the entire time. He wanted Jake Gyllenhaal to play that role, but Brad Renfro was a little bit bigger name at the time. Even though he was completely out of his gourd on drugs, they still wanted Renfro. He's perfect in the role.
I was gonna say, I think I would prefer. I like Gyllenhaal, but I think Renfro would have been the better choice.
He is.
Yeah, he was definitely. But he was under the influence most of the time. He talks about like he had to go to some house where Renfro was holed up on drugs and like drag him out of the house in like his underwear. He was like so messed up. He talks about what's the woman's name? She's part of a famous family. She's in Bully. God.
Not sure.
Oh, is it the blonde girl?
The blonde girl. Yeah. I can't remember her name. He hates her. Just talks awful about her. Yeah. It's based on a true story. The only thing I think they of course they dramatized it, but they changed the fact that the Nick Stahl character, I think, was a bodybuilding. It was a black guy. I love that movie. I would agree that I think it's a near masterpiece, to be honest. It is kind of difficult to watch, but I think that's part of the Larry Clark. That's just Larry Clark.
It's easier to watch than Kids because Kids is just kind of wandering and it doesn't have a story. At least Bully has a story.
What's funny is of all Larry Clark's movies, Bully is the most accessible, and that's saying something. That's definitely saying something.
Yeah, Ken Park's not even allowed in this country.
Exactly. It's not because it's practically porno. It is pornography, kind of. So but I love Bully. It's no Blu-ray release. You can get the DVD on Amazon for $10. Make sure to get the
unrated version.
The unrated version. Yeah. It desperately needs a Blu-ray, I think. I love Bully. At Close Range was on my list. Ed Gein, we mentioned it earlier. I would throw Dahmer on there as well. There was a huge explosion of like those kind of biopic serial killer movies that came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s that went straight to video. You had Ed Gein.
Dahmer's 2002.
Yeah, Ed Gein, Dahmer. You had one based on The Night Stalker. You had two different Gacy ones. Just had a bunch.
Richard Speck.
There's another one I was
Son of Sam.
I was going to mention. It's a little different.
Yeah, I was going to mention Son of Sam earlier.
Yeah. But Ed Gein is really good, and Stephen Railsback is great in that part. It's been a number of years since I've seen it, but I do remember thinking very, very highly of it. And Ed Gein, he was not a serial killer. He was more of a grave robber. Yeah. He did kill a couple of people, but he was more of a grave robber.
No. He was the guy that Leatherface was based on.
Yes, they based all the characters in Chainsaw on him. Yeah. They based Norman Bates is based on him, and the guy in Silence of the Lambs is based on him as well. So
Buffalo Bill, except that the difference being, like you said, like it was because of how ghoulish he was, because he made like stuff out of the body parts and stuff like that. But even though he managed to kill some people, like he wasn't what a lot of people think of serial killers. He wasn't particularly dangerous. Like, he couldn't really overpower anybody. He managed to shoot a couple people and stuff like that, but like you know, the stuff he did made it seem like you evoke some sort of savage killer like you see in the movies, and he wasn't that.
Yeah.
He was like a lot of those serial killers, where he's just sort of more of a pathetic guy who managed to get the drop on some people and stuff like that. Well, of course, there are some very dangerous, physically intimidating killers and stuff. He wasn't that at all. So all these killers that are based on him, it's always based on him and somebody else, because he himself was not particularly threatening.
So it wasn't like Kane Hodder.
God, no.
I think he was in his
like
50s.
some pathetic guy. Like, he was small and he lived with his mother, so the mother would come in and stuff like that.
Didn't he make an Ed Gein movie? Kane Hodder is Ed Gein?
He was.
He was super quiet, and like, he had social anxiety like through the roof. Like, if he talked to too many people, he'd like piss his pants and stuff. Like, he was, character in a lot of ways. But the stuff he did was so gruesome that it builds up this thing. But I mean, that's how the difference between like reality and fiction and stuff sometimes is,
Also, what's the oh gosh, Bob Clark Deranged is also based on Ed Gein.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's pretty good too.
And so was Psycho.
Yeah. So I mentioned Psycho. Yeah.
Okay.
Psycho gets the closest, kind of.
Yeah.
And then he's like very mild mannered and stuff, and the mother stuff.
If you go by the Psycho book, it is Ed Gein, because he's a short, pudgy little man in the book, and then he becomes Anthony Perkins in the movie.
So yeah, I mean that was my list. I highly recommend Bully. And what do you guys think about Zodiac? We didn't really touch. We touched on it, but we didn't go.
I like it a lot.
I like it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's so wonderful, because let me tell you something. As someone who loves true crime as much as you guys do, that movie operates on the notion that this is a serial killer, and the police and the journal and the writers of the newspaper are going to investigate this thing, and this thing is going to be an open and shut case within 90 minutes, and we're going to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what happens. And so the movie slowly transitions itself from investigating a serial killer to being an essay on what it's like to become obsessed for 20, 30, no, 40 years on the same case. So you see these people like, okay, there's a serial killer. Okay, we're going to get started. We're going to investigate this. And then you see them in their like 50s, and they're still investigating this thing.
Yeah, I know. Like, I've heard people actually criticize the movie, say, well, it keeps going, it kind of drags. I'm like, that's exactly the point.
Yeah, they weren't expecting it to drag either.
Yeah.
But, it drags like a motherfucker. It's not entertaining to me at all. It puts me to sleep.
Like the case, so
it's David Fincher.
Yeah,
David Fincher's overrated director.
Yeah, maybe.
If anybody else did that, people wouldn't have seen it. I can't fucking see that.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think the case is famous enough to draw people in. I mean, it's a huge, famous case.
Did Trent Reznor do the soundtrack on this one too?
No.
Nope, he didn't. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
That'd be cool.
Some industrial music in there.
It's a pretty good period piece too. It does a good shot of the 70s and stuff, especially that part where like he's going to meet with the real guy. Who was he? He was the TV host guy, the anchorman guy and stuff. Like, that's all really cool and well done. And they use some of the real audio, I think, for some of that and stuff.
Yeah,
but
it's well made. It's well cast. Very well cast.
My only problem is I don't think it's well cast in one thing, and that is the cop as played by what's his name?
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo was far too young. It didn't make any fucking sense. At one point, Mark Ruffalo's like, I've been a cop for 20 years. I'm like, you're like 32. You were a cop when you were 10? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I like Mark Ruffalo fine. I just didn't see him as this tired cop that had been on the job for decades, and they didn't do anything to make him look like he'd gotten older or anything. He just seemed fresh-faced and young. I didn't buy it, but everything else I'm fine with. It was a cool role for Robert Downey Jr. to play and stuff. It's been said by people that knew stuff, not me. That he actually captured the mannerisms of that reporter actually quite well and stuff.
Didn't they? And I forget what the suspect's name was that everybody sort of thinks is
Arthur Lee Allen.
Arthur Lee Allen. Yeah. Didn't they test some of his DNA against the killer, or from DNA that they thought was from the killer, and it did not match? Didn't that happen?
Yeah, no one I don't think he's a suspect anymore. But that movie makes you think he is the killer.
Yeah, they really try to drive that home at the end. Though. He definitely got
took
away
quite
with
a few
it.
liberties in there.
Yeah, because Fincher was determined. I remember at the time, but also if you watch the extras on the Blu-ray, Fincher was determined to solve this case, and he felt like they did. So that was the whole thing.
I don't know about that. It's
all these
it's
cops are
an
not going to
entertaining
do it,
movie, but I don't think it does that.
No, but that was his intent with the movie. Was he
Understood.
wanted to solve?
Because all these cops are not going to do it, but the director of Alien 3, he will solve the case of 50-year murder.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate
directed
his
Fight Club,
intention,
okay?
but
Fuck off.
I hold a mirror
like
for
Fight Club.
society.
You've seen Fight Club? It's the best movie ever made.
I like Fight Club.
I like Fight Club.
Well,
I get what you mean.
I don't think it's the best
Palnick's
movie ever made, though.
Palnick's writing Fight Club too, so that'll be a movie soon.
A what?
Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote the book Fight Club, he's writing Fight Club.
I can, if I'm having any trouble sleeping, I can go watch that one too.
It'll be as good as Train Spotting 2. I mean T2.
Has that come out yet?
It's a good book.
Oh no! Well, the thing is though, is that Danny Boyle didn't follow the book at all. Cole.
No, I don't mean. I meant.
Fight Club.
Fight
2.
Club.
I thought you were talking about Porno, the Train Spotting sequel.
I saw the trailer for that. It looks kind of. I don't know.
It seems weird. It's like
a
people
weird thing to do a thing to.
Yeah, apparently people, the reviewers in England really like it. The reviewers in America don't like it. So.
No, DJ Donnelly saw it a few times in the theater.
I've never seen the first one, so
It's a really cool movie. I really like Trainspotting. Like for years, I was like wary of seeing it because people painted this portrait of it being like one of those really icky drug movies where it's like, oh, it's gonna really put you. You know, I don't find it like that at all.
Christiana F or something.
You know, it's not Requiem for a fucking Dream. You know, it's not that.
The dead baby on the ceiling does it for me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not shooting any H anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a unique movie, right? That it can do that. You have got like a dead baby very early in the movie, and yet there's still legitimate humor in the movie that actually lands and doesn't seem out of place. So I think it's a really good movie, and I kind of regret that I held off seeing it for several years just because I let people paint a different picture of it for me and made me, you should never let people do that.
I like when he literally shit the bed and took all the sheets off. I'm like, what do you got there? Let me take those. And just like fling shit all over the room.
I give full credit to Ewan McGregor. He's had some awesome roles.
Orc just commented in the comment section. He said, "Alien 3 is great. Zodiac is meh." I don't know if he's trolling or not.
Everyone's trolling tonight, I think, in there.
On the
Let's not talk about Alien 3.
On the true crime area, I haven't seen it, but I've heard much about it. So if you haven't mentioned what your thoughts are on the Paradise Lost.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I was going to bring that one up. The West Memphis 3.
I wanted to watch Devil's Knot before this show.
You still haven't seen that? Oh, man.
But I've not seen it. No.
It's quite good. I would have to assume you'd like it. I mean, it's not amazing. It's not going to tell you anything you don't know, obviously, or anything, but I think it's quite well done.
I think I misunderstood.
I've seen all three.
Who's the director? That's a Canadian
That's
director.
like a straight
Adam McGoyan.
Oh, of course, Adam McGoyan, yeah.
movie.
Right. I would just mention because it's a true crime, and they mention all these others.
I love the documentaries. I love the documentary.
No, but Scott, who's the blonde actress in that?
Reese Witherspoon?
Yeah. Like, it's probably the best thing I've seen Reese Witherspoon ever do.
Okay. The problem is Paradise Lost 1 is a great film. Paradise Lost 2 obviously is a great film. What happened is that other people like Peter Jackson got involved with the case. So when they went back to Megan Berlinger and Bruce Oleneski went back to do Paradise Lost 3, they lost almost all of their interview subjects because Amy Berg, who's directing West of Memphis with Peter Jackson, got a hold of everybody. That's why Paradise Lost 3, while it's good, West of Memphis is better because they got all the interviews. And Berlinger is so pissed off because if it wasn't for Berlinger and Oleneski doing Paradise Lost 1 and 2, the other people would never have been there. Yeah. So they usurped the whole, Paradise Lost 3 was supposed to be the Academy Award winner for Berlinger and Oleneski for getting these guys out of, death row and prison. And Paradise Lost 3 goes out with a whimper. And West of Memphis is like, when you see Damien and all them participating full on with Peter Jackson's movie, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But, it is what it is.
Shady shit.
Yep. But they're great films. They're all good.
I could ever solve that case.
But I love the documentary. The first one was,
awesome.
Yeah, awesome and scary. That documentary scared the crap out.
And the fact that they actually got Metallica to do the music is such the icing on the cake. That
was amazing.
Yeah. Great documentary.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
well, let's go back around. Mike, were there any on your list that we didn't touch on?
I got a couple I didn't. Ed Gein was one, but we touched on that. Summer of Sam I brought up a little earlier. The Falcon and the Snowman was another one from '85. I believe was somewhat. I don't know how much they fictionalized it, but when it had another Sean Penn and Timothy Hutton.
Yeah,
I like that movie. I don't. You guys have you seen it?
I haven't seen this since
I've heard of it.
I remember it, but I don't remember it in detail.
Yeah, it's been a long time I saw it on HBO way back in the day, but I do remember liking it. But
it's about the Russian spy, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys become Russian, like walk-in Russian spies or something.
There was a lot of that stuff going on in the '80s, man. I remember like watching a lot of that stuff, like the drop-off points and all that. Maybe drop it off the trash can or whatever.
What was that movie just came out with Jonah Hill and the other about the gun runners?
True. Oh, that one. The one with
War Dogs.
Yeah,
War Dog. It was kind of, I don't know how much of it was fictionalized and comedic, but it was based on true events. It was actually the guy that invented a guitar pedal called the Beat Buddy, which you can have drums play along with you as you play through this pedal. He was one of the guys that was involved in the real situation.
Wow.
So I thought you were based on real events.
I thought you were referring to the Jonah Hill James Franco movie that just came out.
Yeah,
what was it?
That True Story. It's called True Story.
That's a really good movie, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Nope, I wasn't. I was talking about the other one.
I know that.
Investigative journalism and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised it was so good. But sorry to throw you off track, Mike.
That's okay. I had one more. It was from '67. It's called The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, about Al Capone and the big
I saw
shootout.
that.
That one was really. I always like watching that one on. Roger Corman, one of his first
That's
big ones. Had a lot of the era actors in it. I always liked it. It was really great. That was about it.
I noticed that somebody in the chat had mentioned, and I forget the title of the movie, but it's where it's got a young Kurt Russell. He climbs to the top of the that tower in Texas and starts shooting people. I forget.
Charles Whitman?
Yeah. It's the oh shit, what's the movie called?
Well, they just while you guys are looking it up, they just made a documentary about this called Tower this year, in which it's all done in rotoscope, like Waking Life, where they interviewed all the real people that are still alive from that scenario, and they recreate what happened in real time all in animation. Wow. It's supposed to be one of the best films of the year, called Tower.
Wow. That's actually a really good movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I recall it being really good.
I didn't know that existed.
That's about the guy that had they found out he had a brain tumor, right? Was the reason why he was paranoid schizophrenic?
Yeah. There was another one I wanted to Foxcatcher. I wanted to watch that this week. I didn't have time.
I watched it.
I have seen the documentary about it, and it seems pretty fascinating. But I wanted to see it because Steve Carell plays the dude, and
the movie infuriated the wrestler. He's really mad about it.
The gay stuff is what made him mad.
I know. He was mostly happy. He was really happy that they cast Channing Tatum as him. He liked that, but he hated everything else.
But that's a pretty interesting story.
He had this move called the Foxcatcher 5 where he would reach around and grab your dick and balls, and that was his wrestling move.
Nice.
Start with, sorry not to ruin it for everybody, but
I mean that's what people speculated, was that he was into this he was into wrestling because he was
that's what he got fired from Villanova for, was for doing that to guys. This is back in the day before people actually made a big deal out of that kind of shit. Yeah, so he was all rich, the DuPont.
Yeah, well, and it was also a rejection of his mother. He had a very controlling mother, and she wanted him to, and they were a very well-known family. They weren't just rich; they were prestigious and stuff. And she thought of wrestling as being something low and for commoners. But he thought it was good because it was manly, and she kept him from doing manly things, and he wanted to do stuff that was more masculine and manly and stuff. That's true. But yeah, they mess with the timeline there because they have her in the movie at points where she's already dead in real life. But it's an interesting role for Steve Carell to play for sure.
Yeah. That's the only dramatic role I've ever actually liked him in. I thought he was going too far with all his other stuff. Yeah, that's what he's tried to do. He's tried to go the Jim Carrey, Robin Williams route since The Office.
Yeah,
which I really think is kind of a mistake when you've got such a comedic talent. But
yeah. Rambo, were there any true crime movies on your list that we didn't go
over? No.
Okay.
You guys pretty much said all the ones I thought of. I had typed up that I remember, speaking of wrestling and true crime, that I heard they were doing a movie on Chris Benoit about what happened with that.
Yeah, I think I heard about that too. Yeah.
About how all that happened or something. I mean, I don't know about that.
How they awkwardly played a video tribute to him without knowing what had happened. And,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Whoa.
They'll never show that again.
Yeah, no, they've erased him from like the history books. Yeah. Well, was there any true crime movies on any of you guys' lists that we didn't go over that you?
I was going to point out a few that I just thought were disappointing. There were a couple of recent, well-made gangster movies that I was looking forward to. Like American Gangster is boring as shit.
Huh.
That's it doesn't look like it's going to be, and it seems like it's going to be pretty cool, and it's got some good actors in there. I think it's Kurt Russell and Denzel Washington and stuff, but man, I can barely get through that. Russell Crowe, sorry, yeah. Did I say Kurt Russell? Yes, Russell Crowe. I do that all the time. But, that movie, it's not like it's badly made or anything. It's just, I don't know, just a bore fest. And another similar one, the one that let me down even more, was the Johnny Depp one.
Public Enemies?
Public Enemies. Oh, my God.
Public
Enemies.
Oh, I thought you were going to say...
It's well shot. It has great... it evokes the time period well, good costumes and everything, but it's just boring. And you're just like, why did you even make this movie? It's like you're what happened in real life. I couldn't believe it. And they even had Babyface Nelson in there, and you're just like, they should have made the movie about Babyface Nelson, because at least he was a nut job. Because, I don't know, I was so disappointed in Public Enemies. So, that was a movie I was really... This was before I lost all faith in Johnny Depp. It was about 2008, 2009, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good movie. I like this. And I was just so let down. So those are two ones that really bothered me.
Just go watch Dick Tracy.
I heard it was bad. That's why.
The one that I find super boring that I'm surprised nobody mentioned, because I know I'm in the minority on this one, and most people think it's not just good but a fucking classic, is Dog Day Afternoon. Dog Day Afternoon bores me into the ground.
I love that movie.
Commit suicide, but it's very well regarded and a lot of people like it, so I'm not gonna trash it, but I'm just saying it's not for me, man. I couldn't believe that movie when I finally saw it. But anyway,
wasn't Serpico also based on true events?
Yeah, I like that one. That one's quite good.
Yeah,
somebody in the comments brought up one that Dillinger with Warren Oates.
Mm-hmm. That has to be better than Public Enemies.
Yeah, he was comparing it to Public Enemy.
Yeah, as far as telling the story of Dillinger goes, I haven't seen Dillinger, but I have to assume it's got to be better than Public Enemies.
It's a John Milius
like
falls on its face.
Oh, say no more.
Dillinger was an interesting guy who had an interesting, colorful criminal career in life and stuff like that, but I just felt like Public Enemies did not capture any of that. It was just,
What was the one on your list you wanted to touch on, Cameron?
All right. This is a touchy subject, so let me just figure out a way to say it. And that is, I think one of the most disappointing true crime films ever made is a movie that is actually an Oscar winner, and it's called Boys Don't Cry with Hilary Swank.
Agreed.
I was actually going to mention that one earlier.
The reason why is, if you know the real story, this woman posed as a young man in this rural area, fell in love with this other young woman, and then the movie makes it sound like there's a bunch of white redneck guys tortured and killed her because she was just a girl and they just didn't like her. What people don't know is that this young woman who posed as a guy also stole all their money and like robbed them and did lots of things to them as well. Now, does it make it right what they did to her? No. But by taking out that aspect of the story, it makes it look like it was just a one-sided hatred. And they
paints a different picture.
And they made her into a victim of, they didn't like her because she was gay. Well, they may have not liked her because she was gay, but they also didn't like her because she stole all their money. You know, and so that's one aspect. Is to me, it's like, okay,
I guess she wasn't gay. I guess she did identify as male.
But Jodie Foster, when she made The Accused, said, "Well, how am I gonna?" You know, those of you who don't know, it's about this woman who gets gang raped in this bar. But when she was about to film the scene, she kept thinking, "How should I dance in this scene to get the guys to come at me? Should I dance this way or that way? Will this be too provocative? Will it be that?" And she came to the conclusion that obviously no woman deserves to be gang raped in a bar, so she could push it as far as she could, because nobody deserves to have that happen to her. Well, that's my argument with Boys Don't Cry, is by taking out that element of what this young woman was doing to these other guys, they made it all one-sided, all a victimhood. But if they had put in all the complexity of the story, we would have seen that nobody deserved what they did to this woman. But at the same time, that we would have been a more three-dimensional portrait of what really happened. Chloe Sevigny, who played Hilary Swank's girlfriend in the movie, I remember at the time before the Oscars came out against Hilary Swank and said she gave the most one-noted, simplistic performance that could ever be done for this role, and then she won the Oscar for it. You know, so I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like, I knew the true crime story, so when I saw the movie, I realized that it was being made under a certain agenda, whereas they would have come out with the same point by telling the story in all its complexity. So that's just all, you know.
That's interesting. I had no idea of the original story.
I mean, there's more to it, but I mean, I just think that if you told the whole story, you would have still had the same conclusion. It just, you know, wouldn't have just been, you know, this like, I'm gay in the South and I got killed by a bunch of rednecks. You know, I mean, this, you know, movies can be more complex than that. All these movies we're talking about tonight have layers. Zodiac has layers. You know, In Cold Blood has layers. You know, Boys Don't Cry is completely just one-sided. And so when I found out that the director of Boys Don't Cry was going to direct the remake of Carrie, you know, and then when I saw it, I was like, well, there it is, because she's not a true film artist. I mean, it's you know, people think that Kimberly Pierce is like this great film director, but I haven't seen one film of hers that proves to me that she knows how to handle complex material.
Well, unfortunately, sometimes things are molded to fit an agenda. It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Right.
And you reminded me, like I said, I was praising Munich, and I liked it a lot, but it's a super complicated and super controversial topic. And so this is one of the reasons why it wasn't so successful. And so I'm not an authority. I don't know. I liked the movie, but I understand people that were upset by it and offended because of some of the things it said, because it's so hard to deal with. For instance, one of the things that they actually left out that happened in real life is some of those Mossad agents actually wound up murdering an innocent guy in Norway. They thought they tracked down one of the guys, and they killed the wrong person. They killed some Moroccan waiter. And a few of them were prosecuted and went to jail for it, but the Israeli government never acknowledged it or apologized for it whatsoever. That's not mentioned in the movie at any point. And there's just a few other things like that where you can understand, like, some people see it as very anti-Israeli because they felt like Spielberg was making such a point of showing, you know, the folly in some ways of seeking justice in that way, that they almost felt like you're saying, well, they're just as bad as the terrorists they killed, that they're just a bunch of terrorists themselves. So it's a very controversial movie and divisive movie. So I was praising it, but I'm also praising it from a position of realizing that it certainly had its own flaws. And I'm not, even though I know a little bit about the situation, I certainly don't know enough. So if there are people out there that are upset and offended by it, I get where they're coming from. So yeah, that's the issue with a lot of stuff based on true stuff. And it matter, but you just reminded me when you said that, Cameron, about them leaving that detail out. It kind of reminded me of the whole Matt Shepard thing. Remember Matt Shepard and the whole hate crime thing, which has just led to a thing that I always thought was kind of funny. That so the two guys, they beat him and they murder him and stuff like that, and they're going to go to jail for it. But it also kicks off this whole thing about homophobia and violence against gays and stuff like that. And you've got the two girlfriends of these pieces of shit, and I don't really know what they mean, but they're just saying it wasn't because he was gay. They would have murdered anyone. And I just, it's a weird kind of place to be coming from. Even if it's true, it seems like a pointless thing to say. Like, it was really important to them that was gay, they would just murder anybody that came across their path because they were, good people that murder it's just really weird. So it just reminds me of that stuff. But I mean, obviously hate crime legislation, all this stuff is very tricky and people have their opinions on it. But I've always just was a friend of mine a few times and stuff like that. And I'm always slightly amused and slightly baffled by those girlfriends. Really, it was really important to them to point out that their boyfriends they weren't like homophobes. They were equal opportunity murderers that would just kill anyone who came across their path. But anyway.
Stingray, you said you've got a couple of more you want to mention?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to talk about Summer of Sam and see what you guys thought of it. Because it was such a huge movie when it came out.
I was a bit let down by it. I didn't hate it, but I was disappointed in it.
Yeah,
it's mostly about the tone of the summer with John Leguizamo and Mira Sorvino than it is about the killer. But
yeah,
I'm not a big Spike Lee guy. There's one movie I liked, and it was Inside Man, but that's the only one I've liked.
I wanted to shit on it. That's why I brought it up.
Okay, I don't remember too well.
I was excited for it.
I remember being disappointed. Yeah, I was kind of excited for it, and I remember feeling let down.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. It's really, I mean, it's about the Summer of Sam and not about the Son of Sam killer. That's
that was weird. I mean, it's like the titles. I guess the Son of Sam has like a cameo in the fucking Summer of Sam movie. I mean,
yeah,
it's like I don't give a fuck about John Leguizamo fucking and how much he fucks, and it was like half the movie is like how much he has sex. I don't give a shit how much Luigi has sex. I mean, that was like half the movie that I remember.
Yeah,
there were definitely several sex scenes. Like, hard to remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and the big one was cut out too. All the stuff at Plato's Retreat, most of that was cut out.
Oh, really?
So there was even more. So.
We've never seen the NC-17 version. I just love the fact that John Turturro voices the black dog when he comes into the room and says, "I want you to kill for me." That's John Turturro.
I didn't know that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's the best part of the movie.
It's like, you remember the commercials? I just remember the big mohawk, Adrian Brody's huge gelled mohawk, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be badass." This is before I knew I hated Spike Lee movies.
They came out the same time as Boogie Nights too. So
that's Bijou Phillips again.
Yeah,
but
Bijou Phillips.
She likes movies with uncomfortable sex scenes, I guess. She's in Bully, and then she's in this first, then Bully.
Well, in the Son of Sam case is kind of interesting too, because it was a lot of people think that it wasn't just the Berkowitz guy, that it was like a network of Satanists that were going out and committing these shootings, and that Berkowitz was the fall guy, and like a lot of the people that were associated with that, with Berkowitz, ended up dying mysteriously as well shortly thereafter. So, I don't know.
Lots of liberties, I think, were taken with this story.
Yeah.
And obviously they were playing the angle that Berkowitz actually was, losing his mind. And, who knows if that's true, I mean, it's easy to make shit up when you don't want to get the death penalty or, whatever the worst punishment he could have gotten at that point in New York. But I don't know. I feel like the movie's like 99% like false. Other than the fact that there were people that got killed by Berkowitz, or supposedly by Berkowitz.
Well,
he's still alive, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. He's still sitting around on death row.
Still in prison, yep, still on
Actually,
death row.
he's not on death row. He was just 6 life sentences.
He's just hanging out.
Right. Oh, I thought he was on death row. Like they kept prolonging his stay or whatever.
No, apparently it's just 6 life sentences.
Oh. I watch a lot of forensic files, and you'll see somebody that just like they knew about the crime, and they'll get like 12 life sentences. Then somebody else will actually like straight up like first degree murder somebody. They'll get like 10 years in prison, get out in 5.
I know.
Yeah.
It's it's really confusing and uneven.
It's
And I don't mean this or anything, but in the United States, particularly because you guys have a lot of different laws as your states go, and it gets really uneven in places. I mean, I'm sure it's like that in other countries too, but it's about the big American crimes and stuff. It's always so confusing because it's just like they'll stick the needle in this guy's arm in this state. In this state, it could be like less than 15 years. They might even get out. All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like I'll watch like some of these reality shows. It'll show like the real life guys in prison and stuff like that. And one guy's like he's in there for like attempted armed robbery.
Yeah.
He held up a place with a gun. He didn't shoot anybody though, but he threatened them with a gun, and he was caught like immediately. And he's in there for like 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying he's in there with murderers that are serving less. Like it's crazy.
I did have a quick question. If anyone had seen that movie about O.J. Simpson, the whole trial and all that stuff.
People versus O.J. Simpson.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I think it was on CNN. The 5-part thing.
No, no, this is the one with Cuba Gooding Jr. and John Travolta.
It's on Netflix now, I believe.
It's awesome.
Mm.
It's awesome. The guy who plays Johnny Cochran is incredible.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember when all that happened.
I'm totally burnt out on that case. I think
it
most
felt like
people
a documentary.
But I mean, I was like 11. I was like 11 when that started, and I was like heavily into it even then. Like on all the years since, I've completely lost interest. I've just been totally burnt out on it. I don't care anymore.
How long was it and such? Like,
it's 10 episodes.
Okay.
That's the only reason I haven't watched it is because it's so long.
Not on my.
I had them all DVR'd, but then I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to watch all this.
I mean, everybody gushes about it though. It's
Yeah,
I'm sure it is. It's just the wrong time for me. I'm at an all-time low right now. My interest in O.J. Simpson and everything.
Next time you get the desire to go buy a white Bronco, it might raise your interest a little bit.
Well, I was gonna B-Movie Mike. Are you there? Can you impart some wise words on us for this week, sir?
I'm all out of wise words right now.
Fair enough.
Bereft of wise words this week, B-Movie Mike.
When you were saying about how when we talked about Dahmer and stuff, it's true. Like in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a whole lot of those like straight-to-video or made-for-TV movies about like killers. And there's one I saw on Netflix a few years ago that's from 2006 called Carla. I don't know how familiar you guys would be with that. Starring Laura Prepon. Yeah. And it's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good at all. But I just thought I'd bring it up because as far as those types of murderers go, that's the biggest Canadian one to date is Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka.
Well, let me tell you.
One of the sickest and most upsetting things I've ever, known about
the book.
That. And the fact that she is a free woman just makes me want to vomit.
The book it's based on, it's called Deadly Innocence. I know there's other books probably. Deadly Innocence.
I've read Deadly Innocence, yes.
That is one of the greatest true crime books I've ever read.
It's amazing.
And the company that made the Carla movie is like, I don't know, they call it Monterey Films, which is where I live, Monterey, California. But they're like based, I think, in LA, but they use my town as the area. By the way, anybody, yeah. Well, by the way, if anyone wants to see what the kind of area I live in, HBO's showing that silly series with Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman right now, Big Little Lies or whatever it's called. That's all filmed in my town. So anyway, but the Paul Bernardo Carla Homolka story is one of the greatest serial killers and sickest stories I've ever heard in my life. It's amazing.
So if you're into sick shit or you just want to know what we're talking about, look it up. But I just mean,
read the book, Deadly Innocence.
It's just one of those awful things where, like, whenever two terrible people come together, it's like, how did they manage to find each other? It's like they're bad, and like, because she probably wouldn't have like been too dangerous without him. Like he was going to do what he was going to do anyway. But then like her being there, like, but like she's all where she is and what she's doing has always been a big thing in the Canadian press. Like she'd pop up in different places, and eventually people find out who she was, and she'd be hounded, and she'd have to leave and stuff.
She lives on some island right now.
She lives on some island right now. She was in Montreal very briefly, but that couldn't fly. Montreal's too big of a place for her to be and stuff.
They
and
burned their house to the ground.
Yeah, and see, yeah. I mean, I'm against that stuff, but not too much when it comes to someone like her. Like, it just makes me so sick that she's ever got to breathe free air.
She's not. She's
even
not.
when she was still in jail, I remember they were showing photos of her with like other inmates with like a cake celebrating a birthday party. It would just outrage everybody because we were just like, no. But the whole thing was she got off the way she did was because because everything sucked so much. They needed her testimony to testify against him. It was like, either we get him, nail him down, and take her deal, or and things like that. That just makes you just so frustrated with the justice system because she's so complicit. She was so into it, and there's fucking video evidence of it, for Christ's sake.
Yeah,
the jurors had to watch.
They raped and killed her own sister, and I mean her severely, his wife, but it definitely. She was already into some weird shit anyway before they got involved.
She does the whole thing that happens in a lot of these, couple killer things. She's like, oh, I was afraid of him. Yeah, but not enough, Yeah. But no, I've got, no sympathy for her. Like I said, I'm against the death penalty, but I wouldn't feel bad about either of them being dead, that's for sure.
I read a really sick true crime book years ago. I don't remember what it was called, but it was about a guy who his deepest fantasy was to kill and eat another person.
Right.
And he was part of a message forum of other people who wanted to. Is
this the guy they arrested without he didn't do anything?
Well, what happened was he was part of this message forum with other people who wanted to kill and eat other people, and people who wanted to be killed and eaten. Right. But it was mostly just a role playing kind of thing.
Right.
But he was serious about it. Oh, okay. And he happened to meet another guy who was serious about being killed and eaten. Yeah. They met each other.
Right.
They had sex, and the one guy killed the other guy and ate him. But it goes into great detail.
He cooked up his junk and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. And the guy was completely willing and stuff. No, I thought you were talking about the other one where the guy, he was a cop. Remember, it was all like cannibal cop and stuff. But the whole thing was he was on those message boards with engaging in those fantasies, but he never did anything. Right? He got arrested and on trial and all this stuff, and it was all just because he'd been under surveillance. And he would say this is how I would capture a woman and cook her in an oven and stuff. But it was all kind of bullshit. It was true because he didn't have any of the things he said. He said he had a special oven. He said he had a cabin where he could take people and it'd be private. And none of that was true and stuff. But it's an interesting thing about that too. But because he's out of jail now, and a lot of people were upset, of course. But he said it was just fantasy and talk, and it's true. He never did anything, and he never even planned. He didn't have the stuff he said he had and stuff. But it still makes a lot of people very uneasy that this guy's out, and that he actually was a police officer and stuff.
But this guy really he for real killed and ate another guy, and the terminology was long pig.
Yep, long pig, human flesh.
Long pig. Yep, human. Yeah, exactly.
But there's a documentary of the Japanese man, this is worse because it's more murder, and he's free and lives, and he gets, they did a documentary, and he just talks about he kidnapped this German woman or something and killed her and ate her, and he'd never been arrested or tried in any country anywhere for it and stuff. And that's kind of worse because at least with the other guy, I mean, I don't think it's right, but the guy came and agreed to it. It's yes, kill me and eat me.
Yeah, well, the guy, as I recall, he was quite adamant about it because at first they were just having sex. And then the guy was like, well, no, I don't want to kill you and eat you. And the guy was like, no, kill me and eat me.
No,
that's why I'm here. Kill me and eat me. And it went into great detail about how he killed. At first he cut his wing off and he just bled out, and then he gutted him, and it just went into great detail. Yeah. And it was pretty disturbing. Yeah, pretty disturbing.
Oh, damn. I'll be sure to avoid that.
Those forums, they aren't what they used to be either, man. The quality of that. It's going to shit.
It's just a bunch of posers. They're all posers.
I just want to say something before we get off here. There's a lot of people in the chat that were talking about different people online that have posted their suicide videos.
Oh my god.
I'm going to say this. I know there's a lot of sick fucks, whatever, probably in the chat, but don't watch those videos. Seriously, they will scar you. I've actually seen a few of those, and I still, if I think about it for a second, I can't sleep at night. Like they're so horrible to see people in their depths of despair, and they're on YouTube. I mean, there's suicide videos on YouTube, and they're horrible. Please don't
flagging YouTube, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get flagged.
I mean, there's like a
title.
There's like a government guy. I don't know his name, but it was like in the 80s, and he shoots himself in the head. It's the most horrible thing you've ever seen.
There's a documentary on that coming out.
And then there's a guy that was like threatening Bjork all the time, and like they have like they have all his home videos on there, and they have him killing himself on YouTube. Yeah. It's horrible. Please don't watch this stuff. It will fuck you up.
As a person's out there, and no, I won't. I'm not doing that. I'm not touching that. Yeah. I've seen a bit of it kind of by accident.
It's those beheading videos that get to me. Oh, sorry, man.
Did you guys hear of the one where the girl, teen girl, she live streamed her own suicide on Facebook? Like she live streamed.
Several have
hanging herself. Yeah, that's crazy. And like you could hear her phone dinging with people like once they realized, oh, she's serious, they were like texting her and messaging her, but she was already dead. Like you could hear her phone dinging, while she was hanging from the tree.
And that's the other thing. I mean, we're probably not talking to any teenagers right now, but take everything fucking seriously. I'm so tired of hearing people say, we didn't really think they would do it. I'm like, please, just take it seriously. Call the cops. Right. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's always the thing you hear, and I'm not blaming today's teen. Same thing when I was a teen, I'm sure, whatever. I'm just saying, when these things are happening, I mean, you still have the teens, they don't really tell anybody and they kill themselves, but you also have those teens that they talk about it and they tell people, and you should fucking take it seriously. I'm not trying to blame you or anything, I'm just saying.
Today, I probably, I don't know, we're just talking about the stuff, but like Columbine, I mean, that was the most horrible thing that happened in '99. I remember seeing all those videos, but like those kids today, man, they would do that shit with GoPros on, and live stream that shit. I mean, that's just where we are today. It's
planning that like right now.
Probably, yeah. And it's terrible, and we're very close to having stuff like that happen, and I don't know. I mean, the internet's great because it brings people like all of us together. Most of us would never even know each other without the internet. But there is a really horrible side to the internet as well. And
there's a horrible side to humanity, and that's the problem. Yeah. No matter what we do, there's always going to be the dark side.
Yeah.
That's why I say, I always joke around about how do we achieve world peace? Well, it's kind of like in Aliens. We nuke it from orbit because the only way we could be sure. Humanity is the problem, ultimately.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that's the appeal of a lot of this true crime stuff. Like I said, I'm fascinated by it. Is that dark side and things, and
Well, let me give some shout outs to people who are in the live chat watching with us tonight. Charlie Chalk, First Power 100, our buddy Steven from Red Band Cast, of course, Orc, Movie Man, Orc, somebody named Orc, I don't know. He's been in the chat the last few weeks.
Get a life, man.
Big troll. He's a big troll. Let's see. Ad Charlemagne is watching along with us tonight as well. So thanks to everybody who's tuned in and made the live chat as lively as it always is.
I didn't have wise words, but I did have some advice. I found out this thing about if you take photos with like your phone or a mobile device and you post it, if you don't turn off the location metadata, people can find where you took the photo. Like if you take pictures of your kids in your house, they'll find your house by just Google Maps. So we talk about, it's like a shopping center for perverts.
Right.
You're talking about home invasions and true crime. Well, it's very easy for people to find out not only that you have children, but what they look like and what their bedroom looks like. So be careful and turn off that metadata bullshit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you take naked pictures of yourself, wait a minute. Don't take naked pictures of yourself.
There you go.
What?
Don't make a sex video with your partner.
Jay the Stingray on Twitter.
It's called courting, Pizzelle. Don't you
although if we had Cole strip on one of these videos, the monetization would go through the roof, Piz.
It would. That's true.
That's how we will fund your movie.
I knew it'd come down to this.
We're gonna pimp Cole out. Fun, the East Area Rapist movie.
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
Oh, wait, he's taking his jacket off. He's
You
taking
gotta
his
talk,
jacket
That's as far as I'm going.
Cole, you
sweetheart.
have to talk in order to.
You big tease. You're
I
such
know,
a tease.
exactly. I gotta leave something for next time.
Yeah, but it'd be great because you could just have the Canadian leaf in a certain private area.
Maple Leaf forever.
Oh Lord.
Forever.
Oh, Lord. Well, does anybody have anything they want to say in closing about true crime movies before we wrap up this week's episode?
I guess there's more good stuff than I thought, because I thought I'd mostly be talking about disappointing things, but there's definitely some good stuff. And I'd like to reiterate, since I don't think any of you guys said you saw it, you should try to look for Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. It's not an amazing movie, but it's definitely a good watch. I like it quite a bit. Especially if you enjoy Kevin Spacey. It's one of Kevin Spacey's more amusing roles, for sure.
I just remember when that movie came out, a lot of people at the video store kept telling me it was like a passable movie. It wasn't very good to seek out, so I never watched it. So
yeah. Well, I guess it's not amazing, but I just mean in the vein of true crime, I think it's certainly above average.
Sure,
I like it. The book's better. Like I would, like I usually say, a lot of these things based on books. The book is better. Seek out the book and stuff. It's a good example of how to properly do a true crime novel, for sure. And the funny part is, like, unlike so many other true crime novels, the only one I can think of where like the author was trying to do something else and just stumbled into this situation, and it just fell in his lap, and it was all around him, and he was even somewhat involved himself. It's very different from that aspect from a lot of true crime, because he was there for different reasons, and he got to know the guy and even sort of became friends with him, and then the murder happens, and yeah, so it's kind of different from that aspect. I don't know. John Cusack's good enough in it, I guess.
Cool. Oh, cool. Well, let's go ahead. Let's call it a show. Big thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight, who hung out with us and discussed true crime and God knows what else in that live chat tonight.
Got pretty dark tonight.
Pretty dark tonight, yeah. Hopefully we recommended some true crime movies to you guys that you can go out and watch and broaden your horizons. But we'll return next Thursday live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Sausage Factory YouTube channel. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you then. Peace.
Later.